Chapter 1802. Something big had happened in the Luo province. The forbidden grounds had been completely unsealed, and a group of incomparably powerful creatures had rushed out. They had started a massacre in the Luo province, and they had taken control of the city. Moreover, they had engaged in an intense conflict with the Luo province's factions. The Luo Manor represented the most powerful faction in the Luo province, and they had sent people to fight. However, they had been defeated. This force that came out of the Forbidden Grounds had the aura of wanting to devour Luo province. Apart from the Luo province, there were other provinces that were experiencing some major events. Many powerful creatures appeared and began to fight for territory. These were all ancient creatures from the Forbidden Lands. They were incomparably powerful and savage. The God Realm entered its initial period of turmoil. However, not long after, even more terrifying news spread out. The creatures that came out from the Forbidden Land gathered together, forming a group called Ruined Immortal Hall. This name was not only strange, but it was also extremely arrogant. Who didn't know that Xianling was above the emperors? Even if he was merely a broken immortal, it was enough to disrespect the 5 emperors. However, the 5 great imperial halls surprisingly didn't eliminate this mysterious force. Thus, they were attacking the Luo prefecture at the fastest speed possible. The Luo province had completely become the territory of the Ruined Immortal Hall, and the great powers there had either been eradicated or belonged to the Ruined Immortal Hall. It had to be said that this new force that had suddenly emerged was surging with momentum. It was going to change the structure of the Divine Realm. The subsidiary forces of the 5 great imperial palaces all hoped that the great imperial palaces could intervene and deal with the Ruined Immortal Hall. They were afraid that this power would spread to other prefectures. Out of the 5 imperial halls, only the Medicine Divine Hall sent down an imperial decree forbidding the Ruined Immortal Hall from wantonly killing the innocent. Otherwise, they would be punished. The Medicine God Hall's decree seemed to be related to Qiao Yinyan. She was from the Luo prefecture. The remnant Immortal Hall didn't care about the Medicine God Hall's imperial decree. They even said that they would kill their way to the Medicine God Hall sooner or later and capture all the alchemy emperors. Everyone felt that the incomplete Immortal Hall was too arrogant. For a moment, the incomplete Immortal Palace's limelight was boundless. Before the Medicine God Palace sent their troops to the Ruined Immortal Palace, the Ruined Immortal Palace actually invited the people of the Supreme Harmony Palace, the Void Palace, the Sky God Palace, and the Imperial Palace to explore the ruins of an immortal realm. They also said that as long as they could decipher the ruins, they would have a chance to become immortal. The people of the Divine Hall couldn't refuse such a temptation. However, the Imperial Hall didn't participate. These fellows with extraordinary origins were very mysterious. Moreover, they were related to the War of Immortals more than a century ago. If they rashly got involved, they might fall into eternal damnation. However, not long after, there was a voice saying that many high-level items had indeed appeared in the immortal graveyard. Perhaps they could help more quasi-emperors enter the Emperor realm. Moreover, there were already people in the Void Palace who had succeeded. Di Shirtian of the Void Palace had reached the quasi-emperor realm. It wouldn't be long before he could break through to the emperor-level realm. When this news spread out, many forces were tempted and wanted to participate. The Ruined Immortal Hall announced that as long as one reached the true deity realm, they could participate. After the news spread, many true gods in the god world gathered there. The War States Battle Clan also received this news, and the higher-ups were discussing whether or not to participate. It all depended on the new young emperor's decision. Ever since Yang Wu intimidated the upper echelons of the war race, he had become the undisputed leader of the war race. Everyone was willing to obey his orders, even those quasi-emperors. After all, Yang Wu himself had the strength of a quasi-emperor. It was just that he didn't want to spread this news for the time being. Yang Wu had long noticed the strange phenomenon in Luo province. During this period of time, he didn't leave the war race. Instead, he stayed with the Yang clan's quasi-emperor Yang Zhonglou. He learned about the current situation of the war race from Yang Zhonglou, so that it would be easier for him to lead. Currently, the war race seemed to be united, but in fact, the 8 clans were competing to see which clan could produce an emperor-level expert. Unfortunately, they couldn't take that step in all these years and couldn't jointly promote a leader to lead them to become stronger. Now that Yongwu had forcefully ascended to the throne and proved that he had the disposition of an emperor, it was the best time. Therefore, the 8 clans were still willing to listen to Yongwu's orders. However, they didn't know much about Yongwu, and Yongwu didn't know much about them. Whether Yongwu could make them work for him would depend on his appeal. This was also the matter that Yongwu and Yang Zhonglo talked about. It's more or less wishful thinking to want the 8 war race to completely submit to me. However, it's not difficult to make them listen to me and work for me. It's just a matter of benefits, Yongwu said calmly as he stood with his hands behind his back. After many years of training and experience, he had matured a lot. Especially after his memories recovered, he had become completely different. The aura of a leader became stronger and stronger. Even Yang Zhonglo, who was beside him, felt a little pressured. Young Emperor, you're right. You're still the young Emperor of the Medicine God Palace. If you can use the resources of the Medicine God Palace, they will definitely be willing to listen to you, Yang Zhonglo said respectfully. No, it's still an external force. Yongwu shook his head and said. Then, he looked at Yang Zhonglo and said seriously, I want you to become an emperor. What? Yang Zhonglo was so frightened by Yongwu's words that he started to tremble. Why? Are you not confident? Yongwu asked in return. No, it's just that this is too sudden. I wasn't prepared for it, Yang Zhonglo replied in a trembling voice. Who didn't want to break through to the emperor realm? He had tried many times, but unfortunately, he couldn't succeed. He was indeed not prepared for Yongwu's sudden words. You don't have confidence in yourself or in me? I don't have confidence in myself. So you haven't been able to take this step until now. Let's talk about the Tao, and then I'll help you become an emperor. Yes, young emperor. The two of them began to talk about the martial Tao. Yang Zhonglo spoke first, sharing his understanding of cultivation one by one. Then, it was Yongwu's turn. He didn't point out whether Yang Zhonglo was right or wrong. Instead, he started from cultivation and talked about each realm. He analyzed the meaning of each realm and the importance of growth. Yongwu's cultivation experience was not only the experience of this life, but also the experience of his previous life. In his previous life, he was also an invincible immortal. His understanding was not something Yang Zhonglo could compare to. After Yang Zhonglo finished speaking, it was as if he was enlightened. Many things that he thought were right in the past had gone astray. It was no wonder that it was so difficult to establish the 9 suns. Listening to young emperor's words is better than studying for 10 years. Yang Zhonglo bowed solemnly to Yongwu. As a quasi-emperor, his cultivation talent was naturally without a doubt. Moreover, his understanding of the martial Tao was incomparable to others. However, in front of Yongwu, he was like a beginner. He was too far away. If Yongwu hadn't fused with the memories of his previous life, he wouldn't have the ability to guide a quasi-emperor. Are you confident now? Yongwu asked again. I am, but I'm afraid I can't do it in a short period of time. Give me 100 years, I'll try. Yang Zhonglo muttered. 100 years has already changed the world. The difference between the 8 suns and the 9 suns is only one divine palace. It's not like breaking through any major realm. I'll give you 10 years. Break through in 10 years. Take out the items from the divine palace and let me refine them. I'll help you become an emperor in 10 years. Yongwu said in an unquestionable tone. Yang Zhonglo was shocked. He took out a pile of items from the divine palace that he had prepared many years ago. Yongwu glanced at them and muttered, 1,000 joints divine bamboo, life essence stone, heart of the ocean. It's a little lacking, but it's enough. In the next moment, Yongwu swept away all these items. Even Yang Zhonglo's heart ached when he saw this. Next, you watch carefully. Yongwu instructed. A few true God items flew out. Another blue flame flew out and melted these true God items and refined them. This was the method of an artifact refiner. How could Yongwu understand this? He taught Little Hay everything, so how could he not understand? Lan Yao Ji had already undergone a different change. As strands of celestial qi were poured in, it became a true celestial fire. Today, Yang Wu finally understood how to use the power of the celestial foundation to unleash the power of his celestial appearance. This was a supreme ability brought about by the memories of his previous life. The celestial fire burned, and the true God items condensed into a piece, forming an irregular object. His voice rang out. Use your spiritual martial path, divine, chains to refine it into something you like. Yes, Yang Zhonglo responded. Streams of spiritual power shot out from his spirit. Every single one of them was a divine chain of his martial arts. They merged with the true divine item and were slowly roasted by Yang Wu's celestial fire. In the end, they condensed into a 9-story pagoda. So ugly. Let me give you a boost, Yang Wu said in disdain. A strand of celestial qi surged out and re-sculpted the pagoda. The pagoda had an additional strand of celestial qi and became even more extraordinary. Yang Zhongluo's eyelids twitched. He was ecstatic. If this pagoda was refined into the 9th palace, not only would his power increase greatly, but he would also have a supreme imperial weapon. He was moved. Thank you, young emperor. Thank you. At this moment, he really felt that the imperial realm was in sight. Take it. The pagoda, refined from a few top true god items, is enough for you to reach the imperial realm. Yang Wu gave the pagoda to Yang Zhongluo. Yes, I won't let you down, young emperor, Yang Zhongluo said solemnly. Yang Wu also gave him a 9-yang divine pill, celestial liquid, and other top items to help him reach the imperial realm. Once Yang Zhongluo reached the imperial realm, the other races would definitely see the opportunity to reach the imperial realm in him. Would they not respect him as their leader? Yang Wu did this because the battle tribe bloodline was the ancestor of the human race. It had great potential and could become a powerful force for him. After Yang Wu sent Yang Chonlu away, he called his master, Haorun, over. In the past, it was his master who helped him grow. Now, it was his turn to help his master. This time, Yang Wu took a branch and a leaf from the immortality peach tree, as well as the top-notch true divinity materials that he had obtained from Yang Zhongluo. He gave them all to his master to help him break through to the Seven Suns realm. His master's strength was extraordinary. After reaching the Seven Suns realm, he also had the combat strength of a quasi-emperor. After Yang Wu awakened the memories of his past life, he began to shine. And all of this was just the beginning. Chapter 1803. Many true gods had entered an immortal graveyard in the divine world. They were all famous figures from various forces in the divine world. When they arrived at this place, they indeed saw a place with extraordinary immortal qi. There were many high-level divine objects, and even many ancient martial arts inheritance. One by one, they rushed in crazily. They saw the hope of becoming an emperor. This is the extinct 9-change divine grass. I can't believe I can see it here. As expected of an immortal graveyard. Look, is that a battle technique left behind by an immortal on the wall? What a terrifying martial Dao realm. It must be an immortal Dao. If I can comprehend it, I can definitely become an emperor. Is that an auspicious Qilin over there? No, that's a Qilin battle chi seed. How can there be such a divine object? I must get it. What kind of fire is that? It has 9 colors. Could it be the legendary immortal fire seed? My eyes must be playing tricks on me. These people rushed towards the divine objects and immortal objects as if they were crazy. A conflict was about to break out. Some important figures didn't care about what was going on here. These so-called important figures were the living beings of the ruined immortal palace. These living beings weren't all important figures. There were other races, each of them extremely powerful. Among them, the ruined immortal palace's palace master, Tsang Tsang, was the strongest. He was said to have the strength of a subimmortal. Tsang Tsang was already crippled in one leg. He stood on one leg and was unkempt, but there was still an extraordinary aura around him that made people ignore his crippled leg. There were 3 people standing beside him. Their auras were not to be underestimated. They were like emperors looking down on the world. They were Emperor Taiha, Void Palace Hall, and Emperor Shun. Do you see it? I can share everything here with you. Do you have any doubts? Song Tsang said to the three great emperors with a hoarse voice. The path to becoming an immortal is extremely difficult. You are an immortal's disciple. As long as you recover your strength, you can definitely become an immortal. However, the ruins here are useless to us. Why do you want to join forces with us? Please tell us. Emperor Tai, he said faintly. Emperor Tai, he was wearing a sun and moon robe. He was like a messenger of the sun and moon. His aura was mighty. Even in front of Song Tsang, he didn't pale in comparison. Emperor Tai, he was the oldest of the 5 great emperors. Rumor had it that he already had the potential to become an immortal. Actually, we all have immortals supporting us. It's just a matter of who has the stronger backing. Immortal world doesn't care about the divine world, but the path to becoming an immortal has long been broken. Ruins? The Void Emperor paused for a moment before continuing. Are you trying to increase their strength so that they can threaten our position? If you want to kill someone, you must first make them go mad, the God Emperor said faintly. No wonder you guys can't prove your Tao and become immortals. How can immortality be achieved by relying on external items? Condense the immortal foundation, open the immortal bridge, and reach the sky. Then, you can sense the immortal court and receive immortal chi to ascend. Now that the divine world is declining, there aren't many emperors left. It's too difficult to sense the immortal court's location. We have to restore the divine world to its peak before we can attract the attention of the immortal court again. Song Tsang said with a hint of disdain. He paused for a moment before continuing. In the history of the God realm, the highest number of immortals ascended at one time. There were as many as 108 immortals. Afterwards, there were more than 10 immortals who ascended one after another. There are many immortal legacies in the God realm, including in your territories. You are all unwilling to open them up for future generations to comprehend and become stronger. This is because you're all afraid of being surpassed. Are you preaching? If that's the case, then there's no need to say anything more. Then, he wanted to leave this place. They had gone through countless immortal legacies and had already condensed immortal chi in their bodies. They weren't any weaker than Song Tsang. Calm down, Divine Emperor. I called you here because I want to divide the God realm equally with you. This is also the will of my master, said Song Tsang. That's your goal, isn't it? Give them some benefits. Once you conquer the world, they'll remember your kindness and be willing to listen to your orders, replied Emperor Taiha. At their current level of cultivation, they all knew what they could and couldn't do. Even if they became emperors, they didn't want to dominate the God realm. How many emperors had appeared in the past, but who dared to dominate the God realm? It's not realistic for one person to take it all, but it's possible to divide it into 4 parts. Song Tsang continued. After we divide the world, we can use the God realm as a formation and set up the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Ancient Formation. It'll be easy to connect to the immortal world. Song Tsang was full of ambition and already had a clear plan. What is the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Ancient Formation? Asked Void Emperor. In the next moment, Song Tsang tossed out a formation diagram. An ancient aura filled the area, containing dazzling laws of heaven and earth. Strands of mystic yellow aura were also released. At this moment, the 3 emperors were visibly moved. The Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow Ancient Formation was a heaven-defying formation. Not only did it require the God realm as its center, it also required an unimaginable amount of manpower and wealth. They could all see countless people losing their lives for it. Furthermore, once the formation was completed, everything in the God realm would return to the bound of universe. Countless living beings would die, and only the stronger ones would be able to move about. Those who survived would indeed have a chance to become immortals with the help of the ancient formation. It was a heaven-defying act. Who would have thought that Song Tsang's appetite would be so great? The 3 emperors found it difficult to decide. Once they did this, it wouldn't just affect the fate of the human race, but the fate of all living beings in the God realm. The Void Palace has no objections. Since we're going to become immortals, we'll take a gamble. If we don't succeed, we'll die trying, said Void Emperor viciously. Straightforward, replied Song Song. Then he asked, "What about you?" "I need time to think about it," replied Emperor of Grand Peace. This matter was too big. They couldn't make a decision right away. "I also need time to think about it," replied Emperor God. He added, "There's also the Imperial Hall and Medicine God Hall. They're both difficult to deal with. We can't do it without dealing with them." "Humph. Don't you have a grudge against them? If you agree, we can help you destroy them." "No one can stop us," said Song Song Song. He paused for a moment, then said, "I'll give you a few years to think about it. Whether you do it or not, this matter must be done." No one knew that the Emperor's discussion would be so important. It would affect the fate of all living beings in the God realm. The Imperial Palace Hall and Medicine God Palace Hall were still operating as usual. After the true gods who had gone to the immortal graveyard had reaped great rewards, the ruined Immortal Palace Hall gradually stabilized its foundation in the God realm. Moreover, a large number of true gods had joined. In a few years, not only did the ruined Immortal Hall completely control Luo province, but they also launched attacks on neighboring provinces. Moreover, they didn't show any mercy. Anyone who didn't agree would be killed. It was very inhumane. The Medicine God Hall sent powerful people to suppress them, but they were also destroyed by the ruined Immortal Hall. This could be considered a true clash between emperors. The Medicine God Hall is nothing. I'm an immortal medicine god. I can concoct immortal pills and miraculous medicines. Whoever is willing to join, I can teach them the immortal alchemy art. I'm 100 times better than the Medicine God Hall, said a living being from the ruined Immortal Hall. After he said that, 7 layers of lightning tribulation descended. He concocted 7 tribulation true god pills, shocking everyone. This was indeed the best way to recruit alchemists. Many alchemists joined the ruined Immortal Hall. Although the ruined Immortal Hall was domineering in the past few years, they didn't hide many of their methods. They shared them with everyone. As long as you had the ability to comprehend them, they would belong to you. In this aspect, they were more open than those old powers. When the ruined Immortal Hall was expanding, the Void Hall finally made a move. They no longer hid in the Void City. They began to descend and expand their territories towards the other continents. After that, the Supreme Harmony Hall and the Heavenly God Hall also made a move. They started to harvest the other continents. Their actions weren't any slower than the ruined Immortal Hall. The God world began to descend into a dark era. Heavenly Emperor Hall's palace. Prince Su Bishan, Yu Qing, and a group of true gods gathered together to discuss matters with the Heavenly Emperor. Master, the ruined Immortal Hall, Supreme Harmony Hall, Void Hall, and the Divine Emperor Hall have all made a move. They want to divide the world. Moreover, the Heavenly God Hall's people are quickly approaching the continents under our rule. Master, please make a decision. Su Bishan cupped his hands towards the Heavenly Emperor who was sitting on the throne. A few years ago, they invited me to gather together. They must have already made a decision. I didn't expect those suppressed living beings to have the ability to convince the other 3 emperors. The Heavenly Emperor sighed softly. Then he said, "Since it's come to this, we can't avoid war. Send someone to inform the Medicine God Hall. The 2 halls have formed an alliance to fight against them. Otherwise, we'll all be in danger. Heavenly Emperor, the Heavenly God Hall's strength is similar to ours. We don't need to be afraid of them. If they dare to come, I'm willing to be the vanguard." An old true god stood up and said faintly, "Kwa Fu, I know you're old but strong, but I'm afraid this matter isn't so simple. If they dare to do this, they must be prepared to destroy us. It's fine if we don't fight, but if we fight, one side will die." The Heavenly Emperor seemed to be able to see through the mysteries of heaven. "Are they going to team up?" someone asked suspiciously. At this moment, the Heavenly Emperor's eyes moved like the sun and the moon. He saw through the palace and shouted, "You're right. They're coming together. Immediately prepare for battle. Order all disciples below the level of saint to return to the palace and hide." After he finished speaking, he disappeared from the Heavenly Emperor Hall and landed in the clouds far away. God Emperor, Song, why did you bring so many people to the Heavenly Emperor Hall? The Heavenly Emperor stared at the two emperors in front of him and said coldly. The God Emperor looked stern. He wiped away his cold smile and announced, "Submit to the God Hall." Chapter 1804. The Celestial Emperor and the Celestial Emperor had always been at odds with each other. It was as if they were born to be enemies. Before the two of them became Celestial Emperors, they did not see eye to eye with each other. They had fought fiercely with each other, winning and losing. It was only after they became Celestial Emperors that they stopped fighting. However, the Heavenly Emperor was slightly younger than the God Emperor. This was what made the God Emperor the most uncomfortable. Now that the opportunity to destroy the Celestial Emperor was right in front of him, he absolutely would not let it go. The Heavenly Thearch's eyes were cold, and his battle intense sword. He locked onto the 2-9 Sun Realm Thearchs in front of him. He would not allow them to enter the Imperial Palace. You only have one chance. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider. Song said lazily. There's no need to consider. Both of you will stay here today. Shouted Tion D. An ancient armor appeared on his body. He held a godly sword in one hand and a godly shield in the other. There was also a picture of the Tion D floating above his head. He didn't wait for the two of them to make a move and had already taken the initiative to attack. The Celestial Thearch sword swung down, and 9 suns seemed to explode at the same time. The surging extreme Yang sword chi broke through the heavens and earth. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of the Emperor God and canned Song. Song, cover me. I'll take him down. The divine Emperor bellowed. Both his fists were filled with invincible fist intent. The heavenly god fist blasted out. It was as if the stars were crashing down. The power of the heavens and earth was extremely terrifying. The two extreme powers clashed together, forming a terrifying storm. Sword chi continued to churn, while the overbearing fist continued to expand, wanting to crush everything. Kill! Heavenly Emperor had no way out. He roared and used his strongest killer move, wanting to envelop the remnant immortal as well. The Sky Emperor attacked with all his might. The unparalleled sword Dao turned into streaks of flowing light and slashed out crazily. Each streak had the power to destroy the world and contained the terrifying fire of the sun. God Emperor, take good care of him. I'll stay away from him. This bit of strength is not worth my time. Song said as he turned into an afterimage and retreated far away. After that, he said to the true gods behind him, "What are you guys still standing there for? Why aren't you attacking the Imperial Palace?" The true gods came back to their senses and were about to take a detour to the Imperial Hall. However, Sky Emperor's sword Dao took a detour and slashed towards them. Don't even think about hurting my people. The God Emperor was not just for show. He used the divine dragon swings its tail to kick the power of this sword. However, there were still fragments of sword chi that landed on the true gods, instantly causing them to explode. Some true gods died, some true gods were injured, and this was just a little bit of the Emperor Realm's power. True gods were divided into 9 palaces, condensing 9 suns. The difference in strength between each sun was very great, and once all 9 suns were gathered, they would be even more unparalleled. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called emperors. Heaven Emperor, you've angered me. Next year, today will be your death anniversary. The Emperor God roared, and a set of divine armor appeared on his body. A pair of dragon scale bracers appeared on his arms. His arms moved like 2 true dragons that were trying to devour the Emperor God. Behind him, the shadow of a dragon rose up and quickly turned into a huge, coiling dragon to counterattack. This was not battle chi, but an innate skill, soaring dragon kill. This was the innate power that erupted from his spine, and its destructive power was incomparably terrifying. Whoever gets close to the Celestial Emperor Hall will die. The Celestial Emperor didn't want to fight to the death with the Emperor God at all. The Celestial Emperor diagram above his head flew out and directly collided with the huge dragon. His body flashed, and he raised his sword to kill the other true gods. Before his sword landed on the true gods, a ray of light blocked his sword. It was the broken immortal who had made his move. Emperor God, I'm afraid you can't deal with him. I'll work with you to kill him quickly. The rest of you, go destroy the Celestial Emperor Hall. The broken immortal didn't want to wait any longer. He held a 9-section whip in his hand and attacked the Celestial Emperor like a dragon snake. The dragon snake glowed with immortal light and shone with shocking power. I'll fight you to the death. The Celestial Emperor shouted and directly detonated the Celestial Emperor diagram. This was a divine diagram that he had refined for many years. Rumble, rumble. After the Celestial Emperor diagram exploded, he had already flashed and attacked the other true gods. Puff, puff. Many true gods were directly slapped to death. However, the Celestial Emperor didn't have it easy either. The 9-section whip came from behind and directly shattered his defensive armor. His divine body split open, and the immortal light turned into baleful aura that directly entered his body. The Celestial Emperor slashed back and raised a shield to block the Emperor God's attack. He used this opportunity to retreat to the Celestial Emperor Hall. The Celestial Emperor Hall still had an Emperor formation that could help him stop the two of them. However, would the two of them give him the chance to do so? The 9-section whip instantly became infinitely long. It broke through space and arrived in front of the Celestial Emperor in the blink of an eye. It bound one of his legs and pulled him back forcefully. I'm here. Where do you think you're going? The broken immortal sneered and stepped down. It was as if the sky and earth were collapsing. He landed heavily on the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor didn't have time to dodge at all. He only felt the power of the giant footland. It was as if a star was pressing down. His sternum exploded and blood spurted out. Father! In the distance, Du Xiaojing, who had just broken through, came out of seclusion. She was heartbroken when she saw this scene. Quafu, take Xiao Jing and leave immediately. Go to the Medicine God Palace and inform them of everything here so that they can take precautions. Su Fong wore the Mountain God seal and soared into the sky. He actually wanted to cross the formation to help his master. I'm not leaving. I want to help my father. Du Xiaojing replied and prepared to help. However, the person called Quafu directly restrained her and said, Xiaojing, come with me. No matter how Du Xiaojing struggled, she couldn't break free and was forcefully taken away. On this day, the imperial palace was destroyed and the Celestial Emperor died. A blood-red sun appeared in the emperor's state. Many creatures cried out in grief. The death of the Celestial Emperor instantly spread through the 9 states. Even Yang Wu, who was cultivating in seclusion in the war race, was proud of this news. In an instant, the pavilion where he was cultivating in seclusion turned into nothingness. Waves of immortal light turned into swords that were incomparably majestic. Chong Lu, you still haven't broken through? Why are you so slow? Yang Wu roared angrily. Everyone in the Yang clan heard his voice. They were all trembling in fear. Yang Chonglu was their Yang clan's quasi-emperor ancestor. This young emperor really didn't give him face. This voice was like a bolt from the blue. The power of the divine palace erupted. 1, 2, 3, until the 9th divine palace appeared. It was as if 9 suns were hanging above the Yang clan, illuminating the entire war state. Endless power of the stars fell. The sun and moon appeared at the same time. Dragons and phoenixes cried out. The strange scene was extremely shocking. The quasi-emperors and true gods of the other clans rushed into the sky and looked in the direction of the Yang clan. The 9 suns have appeared. Someone in the Yang clan has broken through to become an emperor. Could it be that Yang Chonglu has broken through? How could he take this step? I don't believe it. I'll go and take a look. An emperor is going to appear in our war race. Is this really not a dream? All the members of the war race were in an uproar. No matter which clan it was, becoming an emperor was enough to be recorded in the history books. The war race hadn't had an emperor for many tens of thousands of years. The death of the old emperor and the birth of a new emperor. Did this mean that a huge change was going to happen in an era? When Quasi-Emperor Xin Yuan, the Quasi-Emperor Ho, and the others approached the Yang clan, a vast ocean enveloped them. The ocean water condensed into a giant fist and smashed down. It's really the Emperor's aura. Everyone, don't hold back. Quasi-Emperor Xianyuan shouted. His emperor chi erupted. He was like a high and mighty king. His martial arts moved the universe. His fist force blasted out like a true dragon. The quasi-emperor Ho condensed his spirit into an arrow. The arrow was like a meteor. In the blink of an eye, it rushed into the ocean and exploded. The others also used their full strength. They didn't dare to hold back at all. Bang! Bang! Sparks flew, and the world exploded. Several figures were sent flying. Haha! I, Yang Chonlu, have entered the Nine Suns realm. An incomparably carefree voice rang out. At this moment, everyone knew who had become an emperor. The people of the Yang clan instantly screamed. This was an emperor from their Yang clan. It meant that their Yang clan had taken a new step. The others who had rushed over could also confirm that Yang Chonlu had broken through. They had mixed feelings. All these years, they had been desperately trying to break through to the Nine Suns realm. Unfortunately, no one had succeeded. Several quasi-emperors restrained each other. Now, this balance was finally broken. Originally, the appearance of Yang Wu in the Yang clan had already made them uncomfortable. Now that Yang Chonlu had broken through, the Yang clan would dominate the battle tribe. They couldn't accept this fact. Everyone, please come in, Yang Chonlu said to the people of the battle tribe. Then, his aura disappeared without a trace. These experts of the battle tribe entered the Yang clan without hesitation. Yang Xianyuan welcomed them into the hall. Yang Chonlu didn't appear immediately. The old ancestor still needs to stabilize his realm. Everyone, please wait for a moment, Yang Xianyuan said to them. Then, he called for many divine fruits and divine tea to serve them. Xianyuan, your old ancestor broke through quietly. Do you know what kind of opportunity he had? The quasi-emperor Ho asked. Yang Xianyuan shook his head and said, How could I have obtained this? After a pause, he said, Maybe it has something to do with the young emperor. The young emperor's strength is extraordinary, but how could it be so easy to create an emperor? The quasi-emperor Xing said in disbelief. No matter what, our battle tribe has reached the Nine Suns realm. We can be compared to the other imperial halls. The quasi-emperor's son said. The heavenly emperor just died, and Chonlu confirmed his Tao and became an emperor. Is there a connection between the two? The quasi-emperor Qin guessed. Don't make such insignificant assumptions. When Chonlu comes out, we'll know. This guy must have obtained some amazing opportunity. He didn't share it with us. That's too much. Quasi-emperor Xianyuan said, half-jokingly. At this time, a voice came from outside. You're wrong. My opportunity is shared with everyone. It's just that no one cherished it. As this voice fell, Yang Chonlu had already appeared in the hall. His body was enveloped in blue light. The aura of the 9 divine palaces hadn't been completely retracted. He looked incomparably divine and domineering. Congratulations, Emperor Yang. After being stunned for a moment, everyone congratulated in unison. Didn't you want to know what my opportunity was? It's all thanks to the young emperor. Yang Chonlu laughed. Chapter 1805. Young Emperor Yang Wu did not enter the hall. Instead, he stayed in the quiet place the Yang clan had arranged for him. He stood by the lake, and a hint of viciousness flashed in his eyes. He sent a telepathic message to In Aoli and Bai Yi. Hurry back to the sect. I'll be back soon. Yes, sect master. In Aoli and Bai Yi replied in unison. Several years ago, he had not come to the Yang family alone. His master, Jiang Zhanyu, and Reverend Qing Yin had all been there, but they had already left. Only In Aoli and Bai Yi had stayed behind to listen to his arrangements while Lu Ji had brought his disciple out on a journey. Yang Wu was extremely worried about Du Xiaojing's safety after the death of the Sky Emperor. Even though he had regained his memories from his past life, it did not mean that his memories of this life would be erased, nor did it mean that he would forget everything. On the contrary, he cherished every moment of his life even more. This was also why he was so furious. The Heavenly God Hall had taken down the Imperial Hall without him noticing and did not go to help. If anything happened to Du Xiaojing, he would kill everyone in the Heavenly God Hall as a sacrifice. Yang Chonlu came to see Yang Wu with a group of quasi-emperors while the others waited outside. Young Emperor, I've brought them here, Yang Chonlu said respectfully to Yang Wu. At this moment, everyone believed that Yang Chonlu's ascension to emperor definitely had something to do with Yang Wu. Otherwise, there would be no need for him to be so respectful. Greetings, young emperor, everyone said in unison. Gather the troops and follow me to battle the heavenly god hall, Yang Wu announced. At this moment, there was a sudden clap of thunder. Yang Chonlu had become emperor, and Yang Wu had declared war on the heavenly god hall. Who would dare to disobey? As the most ancient race, the war tribe possessed extraordinary combat strength. They had many quasi-emperors leading a group of true gods and martial gods. This was definitely the biggest event in the past 10,000 years. They headed toward the heavenly god hall as quickly as they could. At the same time, Yang Wu informed his master from a great distance that it was time for the heavenly god palace to be destroyed. Howren didn't stray too far away and had always been cultivating in seclusion. Ever since he received the immortal items from Yang Wu, he began to borrow the power of immortal items and pills to construct the seventh palace. Not long ago, he was the first to succeed. Hao Run, who had reached 7 divine palaces, definitely possessed a combat strength comparable to a quasi-emperor. Isn't it too early to deal with the heavenly god palace? Hao Ren came to Yang Wu's side and asked. Their morale is at its peak. We can't let them continue like this. We have to destroy their morale and wake them up. Yang Wu's eyes were filled with killing intent. This time, it would depend on whether or not the battle race's people would listen to his command. He had not been idle these past few years. He had prepared many big moves. When he arrived at the Heavenly God Palace, he would definitely be able to shock the other party. The Heavenly God Palace must have had the help of other forces to destroy the Imperial Hall. We must be careful. Howren reminded, as long as someone can stall the Deity Palace, the Heavenly God Palace will be destroyed. Yang Wu said with incomparable confidence. At this time, the other battle race's true god experts were all in different moods. Yang Wu's words had mobilized the elites of their respective races. It was hard for them to accept. Their group of experts passed through, raising a storm. They had not even completely stepped into the Heavenly God Palace's territory when the Heavenly God Palace's experts received news. At this time, the people the Divine Emperor brought had not returned yet. They were still sweeping through the Imperial Hall's subordinate forces. Now, there were 2 quasi-emperors overseeing the Heavenly God Palace. One was Shanming, who had been in seclusion for a long time. He was the Divine Emperor's master and already had 1 foot in the coffin. He had been using a secret technique to hang on to his life. The other was the Divine Emperor's wife, Xian Yufeng, also known as the Mysterious Lady of the Ninth Heaven. The person in charge now was Xian Yufeng. This woman, who was once unparalleled in beauty and incomparably domineering, chose the Divine Emperor, creating a marriage that made others envious. Xian Yufeng stood in front of a divine mirror. She could see everything in the Heavenly God region with a single glance. Even the Ninth Heaven could be seen clearly. Yang Wu's group was quickly approaching. How could she not sense them? There are actually people who dare to cause trouble in the Heavenly God Palace. Quickly prepare for battle. Xian Yufeng's eyes flickered with a stern look. A suit of ice armor appeared on her body as she rushed out of the palace. At the same time, Kuan Mingzi, who had been in seclusion all this time, also came out. He quickly stood beside Xian Yufeng and asked, Master, what happened? Outsiders all said that Kuan Mingzi was the Divine Emperor's disciple, who did not know that his true master was Xian Yufeng. She was skilled in ice profound energy, so she could better teach Kuan Mingzi. Ruan Doni also came out. There were also many powerful, true god experts. These were the foundation of the Heavenly God Palace. Even though the Heavenly God Palace was established later than the other god palaces, the Divine Emperor was also a formidable person. He had absorbed a large number of experts and had many subordinate forces following him. Only then did the Heavenly God Palace become the current Heavenly God Palace. The Heavenly God Technique was a supreme God technique, supporting so many experts to stand tall in the God realm. A large number of people are coming. They are from the war race. It seems like they want to take advantage of the time when the heavenly god palace is empty to deal with us. Xian Yufeng replied. She then said, immediately notify the other subordinate forces. All the divine experts are to hurry over. I want them to come, but not return. Yes, a true god replied. As an emperor-level force, they had connections with the other subordinate forces. It was easy to notify them urgently. The reason why the imperial palace did not do so was because the divine emperor and Song Song's alliance came too suddenly. The heavenly emperor could not withstand it alone, so he gave up on the idea of burying the other forces. After the heavenly god palace sent out the news, the subordinate forces all gathered from all directions. Their auras were incomparably vigorous, forming many torrents. Mother, why did the war race come? We are very far away from them and have never had any conflicts. Ruan Dongni did not understand. Kuan Mingzi said from the side, Yang Wu is a member of the war race in the human realm. Even so, he doesn't have that much influence, right? Who knows? He has created many miracles. We cannot be careless. Master, senior sister, prepare for battle. Immediately send the palace master back. If he dares to come, he will definitely not fight a battle he is not confident in. Kuan Mingzi said solemnly. Junior brother is right. Mother, this battle cannot be ignored. We must be prepared. Ruan Dongni said. Yes, your father is not home. Of course we will not be careless in this battle. As long as he dares to step into the sect's territory, it will be a death taboo for them. Xian Tianfeng said with certainty. This was their territory, and they had a natural advantage. Although the war race was not weak, if they dared to invade, only death would await them. There were not many people from the war race that came with Yang Wu. There were only 3,000 of them. Aside from a group of true gods, there was also a group of martial god-level experts. Each of them could fight against 100 people and could be considered the elites of the war race. Quality was more important than quantity. There were people from the heavenly god palace who were the first to appear and block Yang Wu's path. They shouted, Who are you? How dare you barge in my heavenly god palace's territory with such fanfare? This person was a creature from a different race and had reached the true god realm. He held a trident in his hand and stared at Yang Wu's group without any fear. As a member of the heavenly god palace, he did not fear anyone. Behind him was a group of 100 divine-level experts. However, Yang Wu did not waste any words with him. He directly waved his hand, and a war race expert took action, directly erasing him. That true god could not escape even if he wanted to. After this wave, no one dared to block their path. Yang Wu's group arrived in front of the heavenly god palace. Kuan Mingzi stepped forward and called out, Yang Wu, you brought so many people here. Do you want to become enemies with our heavenly god palace? The current Kuan Mingzi had already built a divine palace, and had even built 4 in a row. He was very powerful, and even the Empress Ruan Dongni had been surpassed by him. Isn't this obvious? You guys are eliminating the Imperial Hall, so I am eliminating your heavenly god palace. Yang Wu said with a trace of evil in his eyes. He was worried for Du Xiaojing and did not know whether she was dead or alive. However, by eliminating the heavenly god palace, he could help her vent her anger. Haha, with just a few people like you, you're truly a fool's dream. Kuan Mingzi laughed wildly. Ruan Dongni said, If they want to die, then let them. Our heavenly god palace has reserved the war state. Surround them. Don't let a single one escape. In the next moment, many cultivators surrounded Yang Wu's group. As long as the order was given, they would attack Yang Wu's group. Although the heavenly god palace had already sent away more than half of their people, there were still many of them. There were no less than 20 to 30,000 heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. If it was in the past, the battle tribe would not have come to challenge the heavenly god palace with just this few people. However, it was different this time. They had martial emperors. Moreover, the battle tribe all had battle chi that increased their battle prowess. They could be considered the best in the divine realm and could always fight against 100 people. Facing these people who were not the strongest, they did not show the slightest bit of fear. Don't give them too much time to prepare. Attack and destroy the heavenly god palace. Yang Wu announced on the spot. The moment he gave the order, His netherworld ice wing blade had already flown out. Pooh! Pooh! There were many heads on the heavenly god palace's side that were chopped off on the spot. Destroy them. Xian Tianfeng gave the order without hesitation. Then she shouted, "Activate the heavenly god heaven-destroying formation." The heavenly god heaven-destroying formation was an incomparably huge formation that took more than 10 years to complete. With the heavenly god palace as the center, it spread out in all directions. A large area was enveloped by this formation. Once such a divine formation was activated, it meant that the heavenly god palace would enter into its strongest offensive and defensive state. Anyone who entered this formation, even if they were martial emperors, might not be able to escape. This was the heavenly god palace's confidence. The imperial hall had a similar divine formation. Unfortunately, Song Song was good at breaking formations. He also had a group of strange people helping him to break the formation quickly. Only then did they uproot the imperial hall. Moreover, 2 martial emperors had arrived at the same time. The imperial hall's defeat was not unjustified. Now, although Yang Wu's group had Yang Zhongluo, a martial emperor, could they deal with the heavenly god heaven-destroying formation? The boundless power of the formation rushed towards the sky, forming a destructive force that closed in on Yang Wu's group. Yang Zhongluo released the power of his 9 Suns realm. A boundless pagoda appeared in front of everyone, forcefully blocking the power that was closing in on them. This is the martial emperor realm. The people of the heavenly god palace exclaimed. Chapter 1806. There were 5 emperors in the god realm: the emperor of grand harmony, the emperor of void, the emperor of gods, the emperor of heaven, and the emperor of medicine. In fact, there were not only 5 emperors in the god realm, but these 5 were the most famous. There might be some hidden emperors, or there might be emperors from foreign races. However, no one had heard of any emperors from the war tribe. There were many quasi-emperors. Now, Yang Zhongluo had displayed the power of an emperor. How could the people of the heavenly god temple not be shocked? So, what if he's an emperor? I'll kill him all the same. Xian Tianfeng shouted solemnly. An ice staff appeared in her hand and merged with the heavenly god sky destroyer formation. She waved out an absolute cold air and enveloped Yang Zhongluo. Ice crystals rapidly condensed, and everything was frozen. Once touched by the ice, one would be frozen into a sculpture, and it would be difficult for one to survive. Zhongluo, go. Let them see how strong you are, Yang Wu said calmly. Yes, young emperor, Yang Zhongluo responded. Then, he released all of his combat power. The 9 divine palaces exploded like a flood. He shouted faintly, "My first battle as an emperor, destroy the heavenly god temple." Black tortoise fist. An incomparably powerful black tortoise broke through the waves. It was as if there was only one black tortoise in the world. The cold air was immediately shattered. The surrounding array could not continue to press down. This was the invincible might of an emperor. Go all out and fight. I'll break this array. Yang Wu shouted to the people of the war tribe. The heavenly god sky destroyer formation was an emperor-level array, but it was nothing in Yang Wu's eyes. He had even broken an immortal array. Why would he be afraid of this small array? After he finished speaking, he disappeared before everyone's eyes. His speed was so fast that it made people speechless. Then, they heard his voice. Such a small array has flaws everywhere. It seems to occupy a large space, but it's actually full of loopholes. Are you afraid that others won't be able to see such a large array? Bang! Beneath the formation, there was an inconspicuous corner that was broken by a domineering force. The formation core that was difficult to find was broken, just like that. The destruction of one formation immediately interfered with the power of the formation causing it to weaken significantly. Yang Wu's voice was still ringing out. An offensive and defensive formation is not set up like this. Every formation and formation pattern has a different function. They could be connected together, or they could be overlapped to work together. The person who set up this formation is really lousy. He set it up carelessly and still managed to exert its power. It's a miracle that you didn't blow yourselves up. Bang! Bang! One after another, The power to break the formation rang out, and the formation eyes were destroyed one after another. The shocking power of the grand formation had completely collapsed, as expected of the young emperor. Let's go. Quasi-Emperor Xianyuan was full of admiration. After sighing, he gave the order to attack. I've long wanted to experience the strength of the Imperial Hall. Let's go all out today. The Sun Clan was ready to roar. The 8 great battle clans split up, and 3,000 people formed 8 battle teams. Their wills gathered together. The Xianyuan clan transformed into a yellow true dragon that soared into the 9 heavens. The Emperor's clan transformed into bows and arrows, courageous and unstoppable. The Yang clan transformed into a huge black tortoise that charged straight ahead. Other than their battle chi, the most powerful thing about the battle clan was the battle formation that they formed with their battle chi. It could be said that they were unparalleled in the divine world. They were all part of the battle clan of the human race. They had an ancient heritage, and once they attacked, it was earth-shattering. 8 powerful forces charged wildly to the left and right, ruthlessly tearing apart the line of defense of the Heavenly God Palace's experts. The experts of the Heavenly God Palace were not weaklings, either. They combined their formations, divine diagrams, and even true god weapons to unleash their full power and fight the battle clan. And the person who decided the outcome was Yang Zhonglo. As a 9-sun realm monarch expert, he was enveloped in divine light, and a vast ocean was formed in front of him, crushing towards Xian Tianfeng. Although Xian Tianfeng was a pseudo-emperor, her battle prowess was not much weaker than a monarch. She didn't think that Yang Zhonglo would be very scary after entering the monarch realm. She waved her ice staff, and an unparalleled cold energy crazily enveloped Yang Zhonglo, wanting to freeze the entire tower. However, Yang Zhonglo's strength was even more powerful than she had expected. His divine palace was formed from many true god objects, and it was also stained with immortal chi. He was not much weaker than any veteran Emperor realm expert. Under the impact of the tower, many layers of ice exploded, and Xian Tianfeng was forced to retreat continuously. She was unable to resist at all. Who dares to attack my heavenly god palace? The divine emperor's master, Shunming, rushed out. This was an old half-emperor. Even if his vitality was weak, he still released an incomparably majestic aura. Under the heavenly god palm, it was as if the sky was collapsing. It was abnormally domineering. Your heavenly god palace is too domineering. I will teach you all a lesson. Yang Zhonglo replied. He clenched his fist and punched out, shattering this palm. Then his figure flashed, splitting into 2. One rushed towards Shunming, and the other pressed towards Xian Tianfeng. This was Black Tortoise's clone, fighting against 2 half-emperors by himself. The battle between emperors was the focus of everyone's attention. However, no one had the time to pay attention to it. There were battlefields everywhere. The power of true gods and martial gods erupted, who could luckily escape. And no one dared to overlook Yang Zhonglo's strength. There was one more person who was the key to deciding the direction of this battle. He was Yang Wu, the war race's young emperor, and also the medicine god palace's young hallmaster. The majority of the emperor's formation was easily broken by him. It already posed no threat to the war race. If this continued, this formation would completely collapse very quickly. Junior brother, let's work together to kill him. Ruan Dongni called out to Kuan Mingzi. Yes, senior sister, bring a few more people. He has many tricks up his sleeve. Kuan Mingzi nodded in response. The 2 of them, as well as several true gods, rushed towards Yang Wu's position at the same time. Before they arrived, divine weapons had already taken the lead to attack Yang Wu. Yang Wu's lips curled into a smile. He responded with his bare hands. The power of his fist was shocking, directly sending the divine weapons that were attacking him flying. Yang Wu, how dare you provoke my heavenly god palace? Today, you won't be able to leave. As Ruan Dongni shouted, an icy aura descended from the sky, forming a world of ice that enveloped the area. This was the power of the 2 suns realm. With her strength as a princess, she could challenge a 3 suns or even of 4 suns. Her foundation was incomparably strong. Strands of icy, cold chi lingered, turning into numerous ice phoenixes. It was incomparably stunning. Kunmingzi also attacked at the same time. The god's slaying sword fell, and endless killing intent was even closer to the peak of martial arts. It was mixed with bursts of icy cold chi, and the sword broke through the land of the 9 provinces. Kunmingzi was stronger than before, and his cultivation level was higher than Ruandoni's. The other true gods also showed no mercy. Among them, there was even one who had reached the 5 suns realm. He held a heavy hammer in his hand, and each hammer was a star. His power was extremely domineering. These powers attacked Yangwu, so how could he survive? However, Yangwu was already at the 4 suns realm. He probably only had one divine palace, but it was all-encompassing and contained the universe. When the power of the divine palace erupted, the chi of the celestial foundation also flowed through his body. Waves of celestial chi lingered around him, as if he was the son of an immortal descending to the mortal world. He condensed his fingers into a sword, and martial arts were nurtured within it. This was a sword that belonged to the martial arts. The power of magnetism light and celestial chi condensed together, and he slashed out forcefully. Magnetism sword finger. In an instant, the magnetism sword radiance that filled the sky swept out wildly, breaking through the layers of encirclement and landing on their bodies. Ruandoni's ice world was instantly cut in half. The sword finger slashed down between her eyebrows, scaring her out of her wits. If Kunmingzi hadn't pushed her away from the side, this sword strike would have been enough to cut her into pieces. The power of Kunmingzi's killing path was also extraordinary, but it was still completely shattered by Yang Wu's magnetism sword finger. It was completely unstoppable. He's so skilled in controlling the power of celestial chi. Kunmingzi cried out involuntarily. He also had the celestial foundation, and his comprehension was incomparably astonishing. He had also received the inheritance of the Slayer's son. With the combination of the two, he could also mobilize celestial chi to battle. However, he was still a little lacking when compared to Yang Wu's skilled use of it. He was forced to retreat, but 2 of the true gods beside him had their divine palaces directly slashed open. Their divine bodies exploded, and they were completely unable to block Yang Wu's sharp sword finger. The true god of the 5 Yang realm wielded a heavy hammer, but he couldn't block it. The heavy hammer was slashed open, and the web between his thumb and forefinger was bleeding. His eyes were filled with shock. So powerful. Without waiting for him to retreat, Yang Wuxin sent out another sword finger. Puff! The chest of the true god of the 5 Yang realm was pierced. The will of martial arts swept through his divine body, and it instantly exploded. The true god of the 5 Yang realms had fallen. Ruan Dongni and Kunmingzi were both shocked. Yang Wu was actually so powerful. Don't hold back anymore. Attack with all your might. Kunmingzi revealed an unprecedentedly serious expression as he shouted. Then, the god-slaying sword in his hand turned into ice crystals and enveloped Yang Wu. There was also a lake formed by the power of talent that suppressed him. In addition, there was also a broken weapon that contained celestial chi. It was a bell with endless power. Kunmingzi's opportunities were not inferior to Yang Wu's. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become Yang Wu's mortal enemy. The power of his celestial foundation was also erupting, and his battle prowess skyrocketed. Ruandoni also attacked with all her might. The divine phoenix ice halberd fell, and another ice worm fly flew out, attacking Yang Wu from both sides. This entire space had turned into an absolute icy cold chi, which was unbearable for anyone. Layer after layer of cold air enveloped Yang Wu, wanting to forcefully freeze him to death. There were also many martial wills that forcibly tore apart his divine sense, not giving him any chance to survive. This kind of power could kill a true god of the 5 Yang tier, and even threaten a true god of the 5 Yang tier. However, it was completely useless against Yang Wu. A flame condensed into a black tortoise in front of his chest. That was the blue enchantress of celestial fire. The cold air was burned into nothingness. Yang Wu rushed out from within, and a seal was blasted out. Imperial seal. Pung, pung, pung. An invincible imperial chi was born, and a domineering power forcefully pushed forward. Countless layers of ice exploded, and those attacking divine weapons were all sent flying by this seal. They couldn't get close to him at all. Moreover, the power of this seal didn't weaken, and it continued to suppress Kuan-Mingzi and Ruandoni. "Senior sister, go away, I'll do it," Kuan-Mingzi shouted. He pulled Ruandoni away and slashed out with the god-slaying sword. Junior brother. Pooh. Chapter 1807. Kuan-Mingzi's strength had risen fast enough, and he wasn't any slower than Yang Wu. However, at the same level, Kuan-Mingzi had still lost. Yang Wu's Emperor Seal was too overbearing. It had shattered his chest. Even with the protection of the armor, he still couldn't withstand it. Yang Wu was like a true dragon that had broken out of the ice. He continued to crush his opponent. The true gods of Sky God Hall tried to force their way over, but who could withstand Yang Wu's attack? One of them had his divine weapon destroyed by Yang Wu's palm strike, and his body exploded as well. Another person's divine arrow hadn't even landed on Yang Wu's body when it bounced back. He was even shot in the eye. Another person's shuttle soldier hadn't even had time to attack when he suffered a whip kick. His body was smashed. No one could withstand Yang Wu's attack. Many true gods were killed in the blink of an eye by Yang Wu. "Uncle Jing, come and help us." Ruandoni asked for help. Jing Wuming was a sharp knife of Sky God Hall. He had once followed the God Emperor everywhere. Now that he was old, he didn't follow the God Emperor to fight the Imperial Hall. Instead, he stayed in Sky God Hall to oversee things. When he heard Ruandoni's call for help, he sent his opponent from the battle race flying. Then, he flew in Yang Wu's direction. Deadly blade slash. Jing Wuming's blade was the most overbearing and deadly. It contained the thunder path of destruction. One slash could destroy the sky. He didn't talk much. He had already built 6 divine palaces. His killing power was even stronger than that of a 7-sun realm cultivator. Finally, I have a decent opponent. Yang Wu sensed the threat behind him. Yu Yan's true god spear appeared in his hand. He casually waved it behind him and blocked the blade. The thunder path of destruction swept over, but it was all blocked by the black tortoise armor. It couldn't get close at all. Yang Wu's body was pushed back a little. He seemed to be at a disadvantage, but this meant that he was comparable to a 6-sun realm cultivator. In the 9 suns realm, the gap between the first suns was very large. It was not like the Jade Moon realm, where it was easy to jump levels to fight. Yang Wu was at the 4-sun realm, but he was able to fight against the 6-sun realm. He could already be considered a super true god. However, this was indeed not Yang Wu's limit. He waved the Yu Yin true god spear, and the boundless spear light formed a spear rain. The spear rain was fused with strands of martial Tao, and it was incomparably sharp, able to pierce through the stars. Yang Wu had fused with the memories of his past life, and with a wave of his hand, he could unleash power that was close to the immortal Tao, displaying an invincible spirit. Moreover, his moves were incomparably exquisite, and who in the immortal world could compare to him? Lifeless Thorn was old but vigorous. He became one with his saber and slashed out again and again. He had long since mastered the art of simplification. Boundless lightning bolts rained down. They were high-grade blue smoke lightning, which was incredibly rare and not much weaker than chaos lightning. Rumble, rumble. The sounds of battle could be heard from all directions. There was no strongest, only stronger. It all depended on who could last until the end. The 5 boundary emperors of the war race had arrived, and they all had the combat strength of 8 Sunday. What else could they use to fight when the Heavenly God Palace's Heavenly God Annihilating Sky formation was broken? Boundary Emperor Xian Yuan was like a dragon, wreaking havoc on the true gods of the Heavenly God Palace. They were all devoured by the true dragon, unable to escape at all. The boundary emperor of the Ho clan shot one true god with each arrow. His archery skills were unparalleled in the world. Deity's palace. Our territory is being invaded by the war race. Please descend and take them down. Xian Tianfeng, who was sent flying by Yang Zhongluo, summoned the God Emperor's clone. Only then would the God Emperor know that the heavenly God Palace was under attack. The God Emperor's clone attacked like an emperor, flowing with power that illuminated heaven and earth. His gaze landed on Yang Zhongluo, and he sent a palm strike across space, abnormally domineering. The power of a clone is not enough. Yang Zhongluo replied domineeringly and sent a palm strike back, causing heaven and earth to collapse. The God Emperor, who was far away in the Imperial Hall's territory, finally sensed the change in the heavenly God Palace. He frowned and said, "The war race is truly daring." His aura was like a rainbow, causing the nearby people to roll away. "Master, what's wrong?" Shun Tsang asked. "Quickly return to the heavenly God Palace. Our base has been raided." The God Emperor shouted angrily. Then, he brought the people of the heavenly God Palace back. Now, the people of the ruined Immortal Palace had already left, and only the elites of the heavenly God Palace remained. However, they were still very far away. Even if they were Emperor Realm life forms, they wouldn't be able to return in a short period of time. When they arrived, the battle had already ended. An Emperor Realm expert and 5 half-emperors, as well as Hao Run, who wasn't inferior to a half-emperor, attacked the heavenly God Palace at the same time. After the heavenly God Heaven destroying formation was destroyed, the heavenly God Palace lost all of their advantages. When the deity palace clone was destroyed in Shenming, this half-emperor died in battle. Xian Tianfeng saw that the situation was bad. She brought out an immortal item and brought Ruan Dongni and Kuan Mingzi away. Even Yang Zhongluo couldn't stop them. After Xian Tianfeng escaped with heavy injuries, the heavenly God Palace's momentum was gone. A few true deities and deities frantically fled, not daring to stop them at all. Just like that, the people of the war race directly charged into the heavenly God Palace, sweeping away all of the valuable items in the heavenly God Palace. Not only were there many true deity items here, there was also a Tao comprehension ground, as well as pieces of medicinal herbs and many divine herbs. There was even a spatial palace, enough for the 8 races to take. After they swept everything clean, they quickly retreated, not waiting for the God Emperor to return at all. The God Emperor's strength was shocking, and he feared that the people of the ruined Immortal Palace would travel with him. Once they returned, they might not be able to get away with it. The God Emperor had been in the Emperor realm for many years, and he had many methods. Yang Zhongluo might not be his opponent. After returning to the war race, they still had the geographical advantage to be on guard. When the God Emperor and his group returned and saw the ruins of the heavenly God Palace, the God Emperor roared in anger, "I will destroy the war race." Just as he was about to charge towards the war continent, Xian Tianfeng returned from the void and said, "God Emperor, don't be rash. The war race's Yang Zhongluo has entered the Emperor realm, and he is very strong. There are also many half-emperors. It won't be good if you charge in rashly." Yang Zhongluo has become an emperor? He actually had such a fortuitous encounter. The God Emperor's expression changed. It was not easy to build a divine palace, and the higher one went, the more difficult it would be. Every divine palace would require more accumulation, and not just anyone could achieve the fusion of the 9 suns. Over countless years, many quasi-emperors had tried to do so, but to no avail, and some had even died suddenly. Yang Zhongluo had taken this step, and it was indeed extraordinary. "God Emperor, we need to consider this at length," Xian Tianfeng advised. "You all stay behind to organize the old subordinates and rebuild the heavenly God Palace. I need to make a trip and measure Yang Zhongluo's strength." The God Emperor said decisively, then looked at Shun Tsang and said, "Go and inform the remnant Immortal Hall. Get ready to join hands to wipe out the war race." "Yes, Master." Shun Tsang received the order and left. The heavenly God Palace had defeated the Imperial Palace, and the war race had taken down the heavenly God Palace. These two events swept through the divine realm like a storm. No matter if it was the human race, the demon race, or the other races, when they heard the news, they were all extremely moved. And now, the remnant Immortal Hall had taken the initiative to start the regional war, and the other heavenly god palaces had also started to make their moves. However, the clash between the heavenly god palaces would have a greater impact. Who would have thought that the war race, who had always been guarding a region, would change their usual behavior and directly destroy the heavenly god palace's divine world, and even kill many of the heavenly god palace's experts, and even the god emperor Shinming had fallen. The news of Yang Zhongluo becoming an emperor shocked everyone. The heavenly emperor had fallen, and the war emperor had appeared. No one knew if it was a coincidence or if it was the will of the heavens. No one could understand why the war race would jump out at this time. When some people investigated, they found that the young master of the medicine god palace was actually in the war race, and he had become the young emperor of the war race. Only then did they realize how much information was contained in this battle. The heavenly god palace had once placed a bounty on the young emperor, and the young emperor was even more ferocious. He had convinced the war emperor to defeat the heavenly god palace. There were all kinds of discussions, and there were all kinds of opinions. Within the war state, they did not feel lucky just because they had taken down the heavenly god palace's base. Next, they would have to face the god emperor's fury. Whether they could survive or not was something to be happy about. Yang Zhongluo was guarding the war state, and his divine sense covered a wide area. As long as the god emperor came, he would be able to react immediately. He would not allow the god emperor to destroy any of the clans. This was also the mission that Yang Wu had given him. As for Yang Wu, he had more important things to do. He had already ordered the 8 great war races to bring over a large amount of materials for setting up formations, such as spatial stones, divine array pillars, star cores, and many other rare high-grade materials. He wanted as many as there were. He also called Lu Ji back urgently. In addition, he had also gathered all the divine array masters in the war state. There were a total of 108 people for his use. Master, do you really know how to set up formations? Lu Ji looked at Yang Wu with great suspicion. Haha, there's nothing I don't know. Just listen to my instructions. Yang Wu laughed wildly, then said to the divine array masters in front of him, Let go of your divine court. I'll teach you the formation and the steps. Whoever can comprehend the formation will benefit from it. If you can't, you can only blame yourself for being too stupid. These divine array masters were all arrogant people. They already had very high attainments in the field of formations, so they found it unbelievable that Yang Wu wanted to teach them formations. A divine array master stepped forward and said, Young Emperor, I heard that you're a true god alchemist. Are you also a great formation master? This divine array master was very young. His name was Sun Jinwei from the Sun family. He was best at setting up military formations and was very famous in the war state. He was less than 300 years old and was already a top divine array master. He would definitely become a true god array master in the future. He asked the question that was on everyone's mind. I know a little, Yang Wu replied. If you only know a little, then isn't it a bit far-fetched for you to teach us how to set up formations? Sun Jinwei said bluntly. These words resonated with many divine array masters. Another divine array master said, That's right. Please refine your pills. You probably don't know as much about formations as we do. If you understand one path, you'll understand all 3,000 paths. However, the difference between formations and alchemy is too great. Even if you know formations, you'll only know the surface at most. Don't waste your time. If there's anything you need us to do, just leave it to us. That's right. Everyone here is a great formation master. If you need to set up a formation, we can work together and set up a super formation. You could just watch from the side. Chapter 1808. With someone taking the lead, there were naturally others who objected. Even if Yang Wu was the young emperor, he could not force them to believe him. Moreover, opening the celestial court was a very dangerous thing to do. Yang Wu heard their words. Someone beside him scolded, How dare you speak to the young emperor like that? The person beside Yang Wu was none other than Yang Xianying of the Yang family. He was a powerful true god and the former patriarch of the Yang family. He had an extraordinary status. Yang Xianying knew that Yang Wu was the reason why Yang Zhongluo could become a great emperor. Naturally, he had to protect Yang Wu. Yang Wu waved his hand and said, "It's okay. They are right to question me." Pausing for a moment, he said, "You're worried that I don't understand the array Dao, right? Then I'll let my military advisor spar with you. His array Dao was taught by me. How can you win against him? I won't trouble you to set up the array." "Master, you're a little shameless." Lu Ji transmitted his voice to Yang Wu. "Isn't little Hei's teachings equal to mine? It is my celestial pet." Yang Wu smiled and said, "I will give you half a day to tell them what true formations are." Indeed, most of Lu Ji's formations were taught by little Hei. Without little Hei, his formations would not have improved so quickly. Lu Ji had no choice but to say loudly to the people in front of him, "What my master means is that your formations are too shallow and not worth his time. I will discuss with you. Time is limited, and I don't have time to discuss with you one by one. Send the person you think is the best. Half a day is enough for us to discuss formations. We don't have time to waste here." In the end, the people decided that Sun Jinwei would discuss formations with Lu Ji. Sun Jinwei had not entered the true God realm yet, but he had already condensed the divine power of formations. He was extremely talented. It was enough for him to compete with Lu Ji. Those old true divine array masters would not go so far as to go against Lu Ji. Sun Jinwei and Lu Ji didn't have too many rules when it came to discussing the Tao formations. They sat on the ground, each of them drawing runes on a large piece of empty land, explaining the principles and mysteries of the Tao formations. Sun Jinwei was skilled in formations of the school of the military, so he was quite knowledgeable about offensive formations. Strange phenomena appeared in the formations he created, as if a great army had appeared. The aura it created was quite astonishing. On the other hand, Lu Ji drew countless ratchet wheels and many obstacles in front of the army. Wherever they went, they were harvested, and the formation was instantly defeated. Not only that, but Lu Ji also drew faster and faster, and more strange phenomena appeared. There was a song of siege on all sides, a stampede of beasts, and a hallucinatory miasma, forcing Sun Jinwei to the point where he couldn't even fight back. Both of them were geniuses of the Tao of formations, but the difference between them was too great. Sun Jinwei looked at Lu Ji's chain formation and felt as if his spirit had been tied up in a knot. No matter what, he couldn't understand how so many formations could be combined so perfectly. He really couldn't figure out. After a long while, sweat appeared on his face, and in the end, he choked out a mouthful of blood and directly retreated. "I'm not as good as you." Sun Jinwei wiped the blood and directly admitted defeat. "You let me win. You let me win," Lu Ji said politely to Sun Jinwei. Then he looked at the people around him and said, "Everyone has seen how my Tao of formations is. I only understand 10 or 20% of the master's formations, so the master will guide you to set up the formations. Is there anyone else who has any doubts? Since young Master Lu's talent has been inherited by young Emperor Yang, then we have no objections." A true divine array master of virtue and prestige responded. He only understood a little of the formations that Lu Ji had drawn just now. If Lu Ji said that he had inherited the Tao of formations from Yang Wu, then Yang Wu's Tao of formations was very terrifying. "We have no objections," the divine array masters responded. "All right, if there are no objections, then let go of your divine court. I've only given you a corner of the Tao of immortal formations. You can set up as many formations as you can. Later on, I'll integrate the formations together, and they will naturally form an unparalleled offensive formation," Yang Wu said faintly. Then he outlined an extremely mysterious formation diagram in the divine court. Then he cut the diagram into 108 pieces and inserted each piece into the glabella of the divine array masters. The Immortal City formation was just an ordinary defense formation, but it had reached the immortal grade. It was the most commonly used defense formation in the immortal world, so it was called the Immortal City formation. Although it was just the most ordinary immortal formation, it was still too big and too complicated for the divine array masters. There were formations within formations, and it wasn't something that anyone could set up. The divine court, which hadn't reached the immortal grade, couldn't understand such a complicated Tao of formations. Yang Wu divided each piece into 108 pieces, which was enough for the divine array masters to carefully comprehend. That was why he had said what he had just said. After receiving the fragments of the formation, they felt as if their heads were about to explode. The complicated and mysterious formation patterns were like an incomparably majestic force that crashed into their minds, making it difficult for them to digest for a while. There's no time for you to comprehend it now. According to the formation, each of you is in charge of a position. Start to draw the formation patterns. Draw as many as you can, and I'll fill in the rest. Yang Wu's voice sounded in their ears. Yes, they all responded respectfully. Each of them had a corner of the immortal formation. This was undoubtedly an immortal inheritance for them. At this moment, their respect for Yang Wu came from the bottom of their hearts. They didn't hesitate at all. They also recognized that Yang Wu's Tao of formations must be incomparably brilliant, many times more so than Lu Ji's. With War Province as the map, the 108 divine array masters began to draw formation patterns in a frenzy. They threw many formation materials into the ground or the void to form formation eyes, causing quite a commotion. At this moment, the divine emperor had already charged into War Province. Before he could get close, Yang Zhonglo stepped out in the air and blocked the divine emperor's path, refusing to let him enter War Province. Yang Zhonglo, how dare you? The divine emperor roared at Yang Zhonglo and struck out with a heavenly god palm. A power that blotted out the sky came down, wanting to smash Yang Zhonglo into a puddle of blood. You're the only one allowed to destroy the imperial hall, but I'm not allowed to destroy your heavenly god palace. Yang Zhonglo sneered and struck out with a palm of his own. The power of his palm surged upward like the waves of an ocean. The two palms collided, and heaven and earth seemed to explode. This was a fair and square battle between great emperors. Don't you know that there are strong and weak great emperors? You dare to challenge me after stepping into the great emperor realm? You're clearly courting death. The divine emperor replied forcefully. Waves of palm imprints fell crazily. Each palm had the power to destroy the stars. Boundless divine chains of the martial path fell, forming a raging wave. A pagoda appeared behind Yang Zhonglo. Each level of the pagoda contained traces of immortal qi. The waves created by the pagoda were stronger than the previous one. There was even a black tortoise that rushed out from it, devouring everything. The divine emperor attacked in anger. Each palm was much more terrifying than the previous one. The boundless ocean was shattered, forcing Yang Zhonglo to retreat continuously. The space continued to shatter. Destroy my heavenly god palace. Use you as a blood sacrifice, and wipe out the War Clan. The divine emperor's voice echoed in War Province. Now that I've become a great emperor, my War Clan's combat strength is unparalleled. How can you shake it? Yang Zhonglo replied forcefully. He transformed into a black tortoise. The power of the 9 heavens continued to fall. The power of the divine palace continued to erupt. The power of the War Clan's bloodline surged to the peak as it rushed towards the divine emperor. The gigantic figure suppressed, enough to crush everything. The divine emperor collided with the stars and the moon, releasing his innate divine abilities. It was as if the stars appeared and smashed towards Yang Zhonglo. There was also a sun and a moon that illuminated the 9 heavens. The divine light they emitted was enough to wipe out everything. The divine emperor's martial strength was too strong. As expected of an invincible expert who entered the great emperor realm many years ago, the War Clan's quasi-emperors were already watching the battle not far away. They felt the might of the great emperor realm and remained silent for a long time. Such powerful combat strength left them in the dust. The difference of one sun was the difference between heaven and earth. Quasi-emperors were still quasi-emperors. They couldn't be compared to true emperors. Yang Zhonglo and the divine emperor fought more and more fiercely. Both of them revealed their trump cards. Yang Zhongluo's divine body was hit by the divine emperor continuously, and he coughed out blood. The divine emperor was indeed an expert who had entered the great emperor realm long ago. However, Yang Zhongluo wouldn't back down just like that. This was his true battle of the great emperor realm. He wanted to know the difference between him and his opponent. Yang Wu gave him the top-grade divine material to build the 9 suns. However, the foundation he had built in the past was still lacking. This battle could temper and consolidate his cultivation base. When he couldn't withstand the divine emperor's attacks, he had no choice but to use his final trump card. Young Emperor, lend me the god of war pagoda. Yang Zhongluo waved at the center of the war continent and shouted. The god of war pagoda had already recognized Yang Wu as its master. Would Yang Wu lend it to him? Take the god of war pagoda. Take this quasi-emperor weapon too. Give him a good beating so that he won't be so arrogant. Yang Wu's voice sounded. He threw the god of war pagoda over. There was also a shield that followed. It was the mystic disc shield. Both of them were quasi-immortal weapons. They were enough to turn the tide of the battle. The divine emperor also held a quasi-divine weapon, the immortal slaying saber. It was this saber that forced Yang Zhongluo to retreat and almost kill him. You want to borrow my weapon? Not so easy. The divine emperor shouted. The immortal slaying saber slashed at the god of war pagoda. The domineering saber light broke through the sky and landed on the god of war pagoda. If the saber hit, the god of war pagoda would definitely be sent flying. It wouldn't be easy for Yang Zhongluo to catch the pagoda. Just as the blade light descended, the black disc shield went up and blocked the divine emperor's attack. Bang! The mystic disc shield released a reversal force and forcefully dissipated the power of the saber. It didn't stop the god of war pagoda from falling into Yang Zhongluo's hands. Let's fight again. Yang Zhongluo's battle intent was high. His battle blood was boiling. He had never felt so excited before. He poured energy into the god of war pagoda. The 33 levels of heaven lit up at the same time. Divine chi flowed, and immortal light flashed. The god of war pagoda suppressed the sky as if it was suppressing heaven and earth. Kill! The divine emperor shouted. He didn't hold back anymore. He had to kill Yang Zhongluo. His emperor's might was inviolable. Rumble, rumble. Chapter 1809. Yang Zhongluo and the god emperor fought all the way to the sky beyond heaven. This battle did not last for very long. The divine emperor could not take down Yang Zhongluo, so he declared that he would definitely wipe out the war province in the future before swaggering off. After the divine emperor left, Yang Zhongluo coughed up quite a bit of blood before he managed to catch his breath. The god Darch was indeed stronger than him. Even though he had the battle race bloodline to enhance his strength, the god Darch also had the heaven god technique to increase his battle strength. If he didn't have the god of war pagoda and the mystic disc shield, he would definitely lose. Furthermore, he could sense that the god emperor did not seem to have used his full strength. Perhaps he was just gauging his strength. After Yang Zhongluo returned to the war province, he went straight to see Yang Wu. How was it? Did you gain a lot from this battle? Yang Wu asked. If it weren't for the young emperor's immortal weapon, I would have lost the battle. But I did gain a lot. I need to go into seclusion for a while. Yang Zhongluo replied. Then he asked, can the young emperor's array really stop the god emperor from invading? Once the formation is complete, we'll kill as many of those characters as they come, Yang Wu said lazily. If that's the case, then I'll go into seclusion. Yang Zhongluo was full of confidence in Yang Wu. He responded and disappeared into seclusion. He was severely injured in this battle. Everyone in War Province was talking about him. Yang Zhongluo was given the title of War Emperor by the people of War Province. This was the first great emperor of the War clan in the last several tens of thousands of years, so it wasn't an exaggeration to call him War Emperor. Following this battle, the name of the battle emperor spread to every corner of the god realm. Yang Zhongluo's name resounded throughout the world of battle. It was just that the people of the god realm didn't think that War Province would have a good time. They feared that they would soon face the same fate as the Imperial Hall. If the Divine Emperor didn't die, and there were Emperor-level experts among the Broken Immortals, they could work together to destroy the Imperial Hall. Of course, they could also work together to destroy the war race. The 8 great war clans were extremely powerful and had a long history. Their foundations were even deeper than the imperial palaces. It all depended on how long they could last. The people of the war race were also very worried. However, after some of them became emperors, their confidence doubled. The war race was never a race that was afraid of trouble. They were a fighting race. At this moment, the 108 divine formation masters had made some progress in setting up the immortal city formation. However, the progress was too slow. Many people were unable to draw such a profound array pattern, and they felt extremely frustrated in their hearts. Yang Wu couldn't take it anymore and took action personally. Watch carefully. Yang Wu's voice rang out. His energy stirred up the heavens and earth. Runes descended one after another, imprinting themselves into the heavens and earth. Very quickly, a corner of runes was formed. More and more materials were injected into it, forming the eye of the formation. It was as though these runes were bestowed with life. Someone cried out involuntarily, connecting one's will with the formation. This is the perfect state of formation Tao. That's not all. Look at those formation patterns. Every single one of them is drawn just right, and the positions of their imprints are exquisite. They look simple, but in reality, they have reached the pinnacle of mastery over formations. The young emperor is a genius in formations, someone else replied. These divine formation masters stared fixedly at the formation diagram Yang Wu was drawing. They wanted to learn some of the profoundness from it. This would be enough for them to digest for the rest of their lives. In the past, Yang Wu indeed didn't understand formations. However, as his memory continued to recover, he had reached the state of forming a formation with one's will. If it wasn't for the fact that his mental strength was still lacking, it wouldn't be a big deal for him to set up such a formation. Now, using the mental strength of a quasi-emperor to set up an immortal formation was indeed far from enough. A corner of the formation was quickly drawn by Yang Wu. Lu Ji exclaimed in his heart, "My lord is too awesome." He didn't believe that Yang Wu knew how to set up a formation, but now he had no choice but to believe it. Moreover, he also realized that his lord's temperament had become completely different. He was more confident and calm than before, as though he was a different person. Yang Wu then swept to different directions to help the other divine formation masters quickly set up the formation. Divine chains of formation imprinted themselves in every corner of War Province. They were incomparably complex and mysterious, forming a huge formation. This formation hadn't been completely set up yet, but these divine formation masters could already sense how huge this formation was. They all realized that this was definitely not as simple as an emperor formation. It could be an ancient formation or even an immortal formation. Right now, I'm just drawing the formation patterns. The last step still requires the combined efforts of 3,000 God-level experts and me to connect them, Yang Wu announced. 3,000 God-level experts setting up a formation together. What kind of formation was this? The various quasi-emperors had been waiting. When Yang Wu gave the order, they quickly gathered their forces. Now, they obeyed Yang Wu's every word. They were still waiting for Yang Wu to help them become emperors. Under Yang Wu's arrangement, the 3,000 God-level experts each stood in different positions. After giving them some instructions, he stood in the middle and held the God of War Pagoda in his hand. He announced, "Release your power and activate the immortal formation." "Yes, young emperor." The 3,000 God-level experts shouted in unison. Most of these people were still true gods, while the rest were martial gods. Their power was majestic and powerful. At the same time, they channeled their power into the formation cores. The formation patterns constantly emitted dazzling light. They continuously intertwined like a spiderweb, dazzling everyone's eyes. Yang Wu used the power of his immortal root to activate the God of War Pagoda. The God of War Pagoda kept expanding. An immortal light floated around it. He said faintly, "Go." In the next moment, the God of War Pagoda soared into the sky and landed in the center of the immortal city formation. It merged with the formation patterns and became the most important core of the formation. It completely merged with the immortal formation. Swoosh, swoosh. Tens of thousands of rays of light shot into the sky, illuminating the land of War State. There were a few stars in the sky, and the sun and moon appeared at the same time. Boundless heaven and earth Xian Qi crazily fell into War State. After many experts sensed this phenomenon, some borrowed this majestic power to rapidly break through. Plants grew wildly, and the heaven and earth Xian Qi became extraordinarily rich. The formation patterns kept connecting. When it was completely formed, it dropped down on War State. A voice rang out. God of War Pagoda, return to your position. Bang! The God of War Pagoda once again landed in its original position, causing the ground to shake. At the same time, a lot of power kept converging on its position, making it appear even more sacred. The immortal city formation completely enveloped the entire War State. Whoever dared to attack the people of War State would only need to activate a corner to kill a god-level expert. This was the terrifying part of the immortal formation. If all the forces of War State gathered together to activate the immortal formation, even an immortal would not be able to do anything. This was the powerful part of the immortal formation. Countless people of War State cheered. They had already heard about the great formation set up by the young emperor. Now that the formation was complete, such a phenomenon had descended. This was definitely a sign of great prosperity. Pass on the method to activate the formation. It can protect War State. Yang Wu said and passed on the method to the boundary emperors of the 8 great battle clans. Then, he returned to the Yang clan to cultivate. His spiritual power was almost depleted. The young emperor is really the son of an immortal. The people of the 8 great battle clans exclaimed. If he was not the son of an immortal, how could he set up such a heaven-defying formation? Yang Wu did not go into seclusion for long. It was only a day. Then, he brought Lu Ji and his master back to the Medicine God Hall. With the immortal city formation here, the matter of War State was settled. Even if the divine emperor and the people of the remnant immortal hall came again, they would not be able to do anything to War State. The reason why Yang Wu was in a hurry to return to the Medicine God Hall was that he had to get the Medicine God Hall ready for battle. He could not allow the same thing to happen in the Imperial Hall. Not long after Yang Wu and the others left, the Divine Emperor returned as expected. This time, not only did he bring the troops of the Heavenly God Hall, but he also brought the people of the ruined Immortal Hall. This time, the ruined Immortal Hall's Emperor-level expert was not Kinsong, but another one. It had to be said that the ruined Immortal Hall was very powerful. They did not only have one Emperor-level expert. When they brought a group of incomparably elite experts, they directly ordered a massacre. From today onwards, the battle clan will be eliminated, the Divine Emperor announced. The people of the Heavenly God Hall and the ruined Immortal Hall attacked the forces of War State. The 8 great battle clans were each in one direction, and they were from the Lu clan, which did not have a boundary emperor. You are still too inexperienced to destroy our battle clan. The Lu clan's ancestor rushed out and replied. The Lu clan's experts also kept appearing. They were very imposing. Before Yang Zhonglo arrives, you will be destroyed. Kill. The Divine Emperor said seriously. The experts of the Heavenly God Hall and the ruined Immortal Hall rushed down and attacked the people of the Lu clan. The Lu clan's ancestor sneered. Activate the formation. Following his order, the power of the formation surged from all directions. Boundless power enveloped the people of the Heavenly God Hall and the ruined Immortal Hall. These attacks came too quickly. Those godly realm experts did not even have time to react before they were directly wiped out. They did not even have time to scream. Among them were many true god experts. What kind of formation is this? The Divine Emperor exclaimed with a frown. The Emperor-level expert of the ruined Immortal Hall beside him had a serious expression and said, "This might be an Emperor-level formation. Looks like we can only use Emperor-level power to break it," the Divine Emperor replied. The immortal murdering saber appeared in his hand, and slashed down at the battle formation below. A domineering power that could tear apart heaven and earth descended from the sky. Bang! The domineering power of the Nine Suns was accompanied by the power of a quasi-immortal weapon. What kind of formation was it? However, this time, the Divine Emperor was shocked. His full-powered saber strike was actually unable to cut through the grand array below. Even the Divine Emperor is not like this. The Liu clan's ancestor heaved a sigh of relief and then mocked. How dare you? The Divine Emperor was furious and attacked continuously. Saber light slashed down, accompanied by waves of turbulent power. How ferocious and terrifying was it? The Nine Suns' imperial realm was already the peak of the divine world. Who could resist it? This time, the Divine Emperor was disappointed. No matter how he attacked, he could not do anything to the formation below. Are you done? If you are, it's time for us to counterattack. The Liu clan's ancestor replied. He rushed up with a battle bell and attacked the Battle Emperor with the power of the formation. Chapter 1810. The Divine Emperor and the people of the ruined Immortal Hall suffered a great loss in the Battle Tribe's territory and returned in dismay. This news spread like wildfire throughout the Divine Realm. All along, everyone had thought that the Divine Emperors were invincible. But today, they were defeated by battle formations in the war state. First, they had suffered a loss in the Liu family's territory. Then, they had suffered a loss in the Li family's territory. They had all faced the same perverted battle formations. Many true gods and deities had fallen. Even if the two great emperors had attacked at the same time, they had still been forced to retreat. How many years had it been since they had encountered such an embarrassing situation? In the end, they concluded that the battle tribe was protected by an immortal grade formation. Unless a real immortal weapon appeared, no one could break the formation. Everyone in the divine realm knew that the battle tribe was the strongest faction of the human race. Now, not only did they have a battle emperor, but they also had a powerful battle formation. No wonder they could stand tall in the divine realm for so long. From now on, the battle tribe could be compared to any divine palace faction. No one could bully the war state. Only the battle tribe knew that their glory today came from young Emperor Yongwu. Without him, the war state would be in danger. Quasi-Emperor Xianyuan, Quasi-Emperor Ho. They came to the Yang family again to see Yongwu. Unfortunately, Yongwu had already left. The god of War Pagoda was not taken away. Before Yongwu merged with the memories of his previous life, he still needed the help of the god of War Pagoda. Now that he had merged with the memories of his previous life, the god of War Pagoda was dispensable. As long as he had enough materials, it was not impossible to reforge an immortal weapon. Little Hay learned everything from him. How could he be worse than Little Hay? Now, Yongwu had returned to the Divine Medicine Hall. Yongwu went to see the Alchemy Emperor directly. The Alchemy Emperor still only had a clone in the hall. When Yongwu saw him, he immediately went straight to the point. Alchemy Emperor, where is your real body now? If you don't return, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep your territory. The Alchemy Emperor's eyes twitched. He stared at Yongwu and shouted, Who exactly are you? In the next moment, a majestic power suppressed Yongwu. Even if it was just the power of a clone, it was still not something that anyone could withstand. Yongwu ignored this aura and said, I am me. It's just that I've awakened some memories. The Alchemy Emperor stared at Yongwu for a long time without speaking. After a while, he sighed. Now that I am not in the divine world, it won't be easy to come back. However, I have heard that you have successfully created an emperor in the War Province. Do you have a countermeasure? If you hand over the power of the Medicine Divine Hall to me, I can guarantee that nothing will happen to the Medicine Divine Hall. However, I do not want those fellows to succeed. I still need to unite with more factions. Yongwu replied without any trace of politeness. If other people heard this, they would probably think that Yongwu wanted to seize the throne. The Alchemy Emperor replied, When I made you a young emperor, it meant that you could take charge of the Alchemy God Hall. Your strength is almost there now, but I'm afraid some people won't be convinced. It's fine. As long as you support me, I can naturally make them listen to me. Yongwu said with certainty. If you say so, I have no reason to stop you. The Alchemy Emperor replied. On this day, the Alchemy Emperor announced that Yang Wu would take charge of the Alchemy God Hall. The 9 Hall Lords would all honor the young emperor. After this announcement, the entire Alchemy God Mountain was shaken. They wondered if something had happened to the Alchemy Emperor. Why was he in such a hurry to pass the throne to Yang Wu? The 9 Hall Lords didn't know what was going on, but the Alchemy Emperor had already recognized Yang Wu as his junior brother and made him young emperor. This was enough to explain everything. Now that Yang Wu had entered the true divinity realm and could refine 5 tribulation true god pills, he was no longer weaker than these old men. The only flaw was that he was still too inexperienced and didn't contribute enough to the Alchemy God Hall. Even if he managed the Divine Hall well, it still wasn't convincing enough. After all, the Alchemy God Hall was famous for its Tao of alchemy. In addition, another piece of news came out. When Yang Wu was appointed as the Temple Lord, he would refine pills to prove his position. The 9 Hall Lords knew that Yang Wu's alchemy talent was extraordinary, but the people in the Alchemy God Hall didn't know enough. This time, he would publicly refine pills to determine whether or not Yang Wu had the qualifications to take charge of the Alchemy God Hall. This was one of the 5 great sacred halls of the God world. The 9 Hall Lords also had their own thoughts. They really didn't believe that Yang Wu could surpass them. For example, the Hall Lords of the Alchemy God Hall were usually successors. Now that Yang Wu had beaten them to it, it was hard for them not to have some thoughts in their hearts. If Yang Wu's pills this time didn't surpass his, it would be difficult to convince them. The Hall Lord of the Alchemy God Hall didn't have any complaints, but many of his disciples said that it was unfair. Among them, the true divinity alchemist Su Yin was the most dissatisfied. He publicly roared, "The young Hall Lord's talent is indisputable, but he is still too inexperienced. My master has worked hard for the Alchemy God Hall for many years and has always been the master of the 9 halls. Why did the venerable Alchemy Emperor let the young Hall Lord take over so quickly? This is looking down on my master too much. If the young Hall Lord can't prove himself, I can't accept it." Su Yin had a bad temper, but his alchemy skills were very strong. He had followed the Hall Lord for the longest time, and his alchemy skills were not inferior to the other Hall Lords. His words carried a lot of weight. With him taking the lead, the others also began to talk boldly. In short, many voices were against the Alchemy Emperor's decision. It was just that they didn't dare to speak as bluntly as Su Yin. In Yang Wu's residence in the Miracle Life Palace, the person sitting across from him wasn't Xiao Yinyun, but Du Xiaojing. After the Imperial Hall was destroyed, Du Xiaojing had nowhere else to go and could only come find Yang Wu. Who would have thought that Yang Wu wasn't at the Alchemy God Hall? However, she didn't leave and stayed to wait for Yang Wu. Du Xiaojing no longer had her former glory. She was like a withered flower that had lost all of her spirit. Clearly, she had suffered a great blow. Her father, who loved her the most, died at the hands of the God Emperor and Kansong. He was the one who doted on her the most. It would be strange if she wasn't sad about the death of her only relative. The lair of the Divine Palace has been flattened by me, and I've also killed quite a few people from the Divine Palace. Although I wasn't able to kill the Divine Lord, it won't be long before I can chop off his head and avenge your father." He didn't know how to comfort Du Xiaojing. Perhaps this disappearance could make her feel a bit happier. As expected, her eyes became a bit more lively. "Really? Of course. You can go outside and ask," Yang Wu said seriously. "Thank you." Du Xiaojing forced a smile and said gratefully. Yang Wu pulled her over and said gently, "Cry if you want." She didn't hold back and threw herself into Yang Wu's arms and cried loudly. She had been holding it in for a long time. If she didn't cry now, she would go crazy. After a long time, she stopped crying. Yang Wu's clothes were wet. "I want revenge. I want to kill the God Emperor and the people of the ruined Immortal Hall," Du Xiaojing said with a strong sense of hatred. "Okay, I'll help you." Yang Wu nodded. Before the bestowment ceremony, Yang Wu stayed with Du Xiaojing. He gave her pointers on cultivation and left her with countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures. This time, Yang Wu didn't teach Du Xiaojing a normal cultivation method. Instead, he taught her how to use the Immortal Foundation. Only by using the power of the immortal foundation could she unleash the full potential of an immortal. Other than that, he also used the supreme 9 mysteries arts to deduce the Imperial Hall's cultivation method and raised it to the immortal grade. After Du Xiaojing learned all of this from Yang Wu, she realized that Yang Wu was different from before. He seemed to be more powerful. The bestowment ceremony came as scheduled. All the high-ranked divine alchemists of the Medicine God Mountain could watch the ceremony. The Alchemy Emperor's clone personally presided over the ceremony. He first talked about the past glory of the Alchemy Hall before getting to the main topic. Young Emperor Yang Wu is as talented as an immortal. He has received the true teachings of the immortal sovereign and is extremely talented in alchemy. He has become the Medicine God Hall's youngest true divine alchemist and has contributed greatly to the Medicine God Hall for many years. Today, this emperor will pass on my title to him. The 9 halls will treat him as their master and confer him the title of Divine Lord Wu Ho. I hope that the 9 halls will work together to bring the Medicine God Hall to the next level. All kinds of musical instruments sounded. Birds with ribbons flew past like rainbow-colored clouds. There were also waves of divine music as tens of thousands of gods celebrated together. No one could go against the Alchemy Emperor's order. Yang Wu wore a navy blue robe with golden dragon edges and a divine cauldron embroidered on it. He had a majestic aura as he walked step by step towards the seat of the God Hall Lord. When he turned around, everyone said in unison, "Greetings, Divine Lord Wu Ho." Yang Wu gestured in the air, and everyone stood up. He faintly said, "I know that you are not convinced that I am sitting in this position, but you will all be convinced very soon. Open the cauldron for alchemy." As his voice fell, a high cauldron floated up. He stood on top of the high cauldron and faintly said, "In alchemy, I am stronger than all of you. If I don't become the Divine Lord, who else can come? Watch carefully." The bronze cauldron appeared, and the blue enchantress began to burn. In his previous life, Yang Wu was not an alchemist, but he had come in contact with the most powerful alchemists. He had seen countless alchemy techniques and recipes, so he already had a good grasp of the universe. Today, he would use other alchemy techniques to tell everyone in the Medicine God Hall that his title of Divine Lord Wu Ho was not just for show. This time, the alchemy was completely different from the past. He threw all of the herbs into the cauldron at once along with many divine springs. It was like refining medicinal liquid, incomparably simple and crude. Everyone did not understand why he was doing this. Soon, a voice rang out. When one's alchemy Tao reaches a certain level, they can imprint themselves into the essences of the herbs, allowing them to fuse together with their divine intents. There is no waste, and there is no need to worry about the medicinal properties being lost. The pure alchemy Tao can resonate with all kinds of herbs. Each of his words caused people to be enlightened, but they could not understand the profoundness within. They could only faintly feel a new inspiration. The power of the demon core is incomparably violent, and many alchemists find it difficult to refine it. I have a method here that can easily refine the power of the demon core. Everyone can use the Tao of Fire to imprint themselves onto the demon core and burn its soul. Then, use the power of the divine chains to break the core. Everyone listened as if they were drunk. Chapter 1811. All alchemists practiced the Tao of alchemy, but no one had ever thought of the Tao of Fire. The Tao of Fire was the root of the Tao of alchemy. Using the Tao of Fire to refine herbs and demonic cores had always been the most basic principle, but everyone had always overlooked it. Aside from the Tao of Fire, there was also the Tao of Spirit. Spirit was also known as the Tao of Soul. The Tao of Soul allowed one to sense everything, even the smallest detail. Even the essence of the refined cauldron could be sensed. Yang Wu's use of these Taos had reached perfection. He had completely fused the cauldron of pills together, breaking the traditional Tao of alchemy. It was an eye-opener for everyone. After an unknown amount of time, the sky was covered by dark clouds as thunder and lightning flashed. The divine lightning descended like dragons and snakes, concentrating on the altar. The terrifying might of the lightning was enough to destroy everything in the world. In the past, Yang Wu would directly charge into the divine lightning and resist it. However, he didn't do that today. He actually reached out and grabbed the divine lightning, directly refining it into the cauldron. What is the divine lord doing? Everyone cried out in surprise. The medicine god hall master murmured, "Could this be the legendary lightning-quenching pill technique?" Impossible. That's an immortal tier technique that only exists in legends. How could he do it? The myriad hall master said in disbelief. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Yang Wu was still doing it. The lightning entered the cauldron and was then ejected. It was as if he was using the divine lightning to filter the pill. The second wave of divine lightning arrived as expected. Yang Wu also grabbed the lightning and refined it into the cauldron before ejecting it. This repeated over and over again. Everyone felt that it was a new experience. They really didn't know what kind of pill Yang Wu was refining that required such a method. Moreover, they found that Yang Wu was incomparably calm when dealing with the lightning. He didn't fear it at all. Those with sharp eyes could even see that he was absorbing the lightning on his own. It was truly inconceivable. Even a true god would be smashed to pieces by the divine lightning. However, Yang Wu was able to do it so calmly. This completely subverted their imaginations. When the fifth wave of lightning tribulation descended, the divine medicine mountain had already activated its defensive array to prevent injuries to the people and the mountain from being damaged. Yang Wu's divine palace appeared and forcibly absorbed the terrifying chaotic divine thunder into the divine palace, directly branding it into the way of thunder. It was simply an immortal-like method. Little Hay, who was hiding in a corner, had an excited look in her eyes as she exclaimed in her heart, "My master has finally recovered his memories. Woof woof, this is great, this is great." Pausing for a moment, it drooped its ears and thought, "It's over, it's over. He'll definitely remember what happened in this life. What should I do?" Lil Hay had always called Yang Wu's little Wu Zi. It had never wanted Yang Wu to become its disciple. It had only wanted to experience the feeling of being in charge. It had never thought that Yang Wu would be able to remember everything that had happened in his past life so quickly. Everything that Little Hay knew came from Yang Wu's previous life. After the fifth wave of lightning tribulation passed, the sixth wave of lightning tribulation descended. It was as if a lightning warrior was holding an electric fork and attacking Yang Wu. Its terrifying power was comparable to that of a quasi-emperor. Yang Wu's electric fork talent appeared and intertwined with it. Wisps of immortal chi swept out, and countless electric forks directly tore the lightning warrior into pieces, which were absorbed and refined by Yang Wu. The power of a quasi-emperor's lightning could not hurt him. He was too powerful. However, everyone thought that the sixth wave of lightning tribulation was the limit. They did not expect that there would be more lightning in the sky. This time, it was a huge, chaotic lightning beast. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, spitting out 4 seas of chaotic lightning. A 5-color divine light descended, containing a terrifying power that could destroy everything. 6th Tribulation Pill. Even the Hall Master of the Divine Medicine Hall could not easily refine it, but now Yang Wu had succeeded. At this point, who would dare to question Yang Wu's alchemy skills? Who would dare to question Yang Wu's ability to take over the Divine Medicine Hall and become Wu Ho's Divine Master? He was still so young and would definitely become a martial emperor in the future. Compared to the Hall Master of the Divine Medicine Hall, he was more qualified to be a leader. "It's time to exercise," Yang Wu muttered and soared into the sky, punching out with lightning fists. There was no doubt that he was invincible. Moreover, his body released immortal light, and the black tortoise battle armor was like an 8 trigrams formation. The destructive power of the countless bolts of lightning could not do much damage to him. Most of them were neutralized, and the ones that could not be neutralized were forcibly absorbed into the immortal foundation, strengthening the power of the immortal foundation, strengthening the heavenly thunderbone, strengthening the primal chaos lightning pearl, and tempering the divine body. Now, he had too many tricks up his sleeve, and his level was very high. He would have no problem fighting a quasi-emperor with his physical body. The lunar soul battle body could probably fight a martial emperor. The thunder beast seemed to have a life of its own. It felt that Yang Wu was resisting, and the destructive power of the lightning it released was even stronger. There was also the Tao of thunder and the Tao of destruction imprinted in it. Yang Wu could carefully comprehend it and strengthen his own Tao. The Tao of thunder and the Tao of destruction merged into the divine palace and the lightning bone. This was the highest level of the 9 lightning body tempering technique. All of this was not over yet. The 7th wave of lightning punishment appeared. Everyone was stunned. No one dared to say anything, and no one dared to question him. This was too crazy. The reason why the Medicine Emperor could be called an emperor was not only because he had reached the 9-yang realm, but also because he could refine a 7 tribulation true God pill. This true God pill was known as the ultimate emperor realm, and its value was immeasurable. Yang Wu was not even 300 years old, and he could already do this. Who would dare to question him? The 9 hall masters were all convinced. Even Su Yin, who was not convinced, kept his mouth shut. He was even more terrified. Why is he so strong? Only little He knew the answer to this question. Yang Wu's family members, who were watching the ceremony, were all proud at this moment. This was the head of their family. The 7 tribulation lightning punishment consisted of a true dragon, a white tiger, a vermilion bird, and a black tortoise. The 4 symbols appeared at the same time and carried a torrent of chaotic lightning power to wreak havoc on Yang Wu. Such a lightning punishment was enough to shake the divine formation of the divine alchemy mountain. The 9 hall masters took action at the same time to isolate the lightning power and prevent it from harming the innocent. Those at the foot of the mountain who were weaker were all knocked out. Yang Wu's body was suffused with immortal light and oppressive aura. He held the trident in his hand like a true immortal who controlled lightning. He brandished one amazing battle technique after another to fight the 4 symbols at the same time. Lightning dawn, swift lightning flash, wind, gust lightning. The 4 symbols were all shattered by the moves, and the armor on Yang Wu's body was completely shattered. His body was brutally ravaged. His bones and organs were exposed. Even so, it was still not enough to withstand the power. The power of the 4 symbols was still being reorganized. He said faintly, "Battle soul, appear." A moon-shaped mark appeared between his eyebrows. The battle soul walked out and joined hands with him to resist the reorganized power of the 4 symbols. Rumble, rumble. Endless lightning kept colliding and could not calm down for a long time. The true dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise kept moving and roaring. As for Yang Wu, he was already drowned in the power of the lightning and could not escape. After an unknown period of time, the dark clouds dispersed and the chaotic lightning disappeared. A tattered figure appeared. Everyone was shocked beyond words. Yang Wu closed his eyes and carefully enjoyed the feeling of bathing in the chaotic lightning. He sighed faintly and said, "It feels so good to relax my body." When the people below heard this, they were shocked. Was he still human? Even a quasi-emperor would be seriously injured or even killed by such a terrifying, chaotic lightning punishment. However, not only did Yang Wu survive it, but he also said such words. He was not human. Immortal light lingered on his body, and the power of the stars fell. As the light flickered, his injuries were healed. He showed a unique spirit. Who else is not convinced by me? Yang Wu asked condescendingly. Everyone knelt down and said, "Greetings, Divine Master. We swear to follow you to death." No one dared to say no. Everyone was convinced. The cauldron had not been opened, but it had already created such a spirit. No matter if it was in his previous life or this life, he was still invincible. After he landed, he opened the lid of the cauldron, and pills flew out one after another. Each pill contained traces of immortal qi, and the medicinal smell spread towards the bottom of the medicine god mountain. Everyone was intoxicated by it, and the growth of the herbs became much faster. Elder Dan, who had always respected Yang Wu as the young master, was so excited that he exclaimed, "Young master is unparalleled. Young master is unparalleled." He vaguely saw the shadow of a mortal, venerable Shinnon. Yang Wu continued. This is the Imperial Palace pill. It can help a quasi-emperor break through to become a great emperor. The success rate is 90%. 3 months later, the God Palace will auction it. The Imperial Palace pill was a top-grade pill among the true God pills. It was a pill used to build the 9th Divine Palace. When one was building the 9th Divine Palace, taking this pill at the same time had a 90% success rate. What an astounding probability. Everyone was in an uproar. I wonder how many forces will participate in such a top-grade pill. The Heavenly Emperor has just died. Now that the Divine Master has refined the Imperial Palace pill, many great emperors will appear. It will be a blessing for the God realm. If this matter spreads, I wonder if the Heavenly God Palace and the ruined Immortal Palace will come to deal with us. I hope nothing bad happens. The Divine Master is unparalleled in alchemy and martial arts. God bless the Medicine God Palace. We will definitely prosper. Many alchemists were filled with yearning and desire. This kind of alchemy was the goal they were pursuing. Whoever is willing to join the Medicine God Palace will receive more pills and support. Even the Imperial Palace pill will not be lacking. After Yang Wu said this, he dismissed the crowd, leaving only the Hall Masters to discuss matters. After today, the name of the Medicine God Palace and Yang Wu would once again sweep across the God realm. Divine Master, the news of the Imperial Palace pill should not be spread. The Hall Master of the Medicine God Palace spoke first. Do you have any doubts? Yang Wu asked. The Medicine God Palace has yet to have a great emperor. Now that the ruined Immortal Palace and other God Palaces have already taken over the various provinces, if they know about this, they might join forces to deal with the Medicine God Palace. I'm afraid it's too late to create a great emperor now. The Hall Master of the Medicine God Palace said. That's right. This will alarm them and give them pressure. They will instead deal with the Medicine God Palace first. The Hall Master of the All Beings Palace said. Haha, everyone don't worry. This Divine Master has a plan. Just listen to my instructions. Chapter 1812. The Medicine God Palace was holding an auction for the Imperial Palace pill, which swept the entire divine world. The Imperial Palace pill was not only useful to humans, but also to other races. As long as one paid a sufficient price, they could obtain a 7 Tribulation Imperial Palace pill and have a 90% chance of entering the Emperor realm. Although it was said to be 90%, everyone knew that the 7 Tribulation True God pill's medicinal properties were extremely shocking and could help them succeed. Many old men in the divine world yearned for such a pill. Not only could they become emperors, but they could also extend their lifespan. They were even willing to give up everything they had. Especially now that the remnant Immortal Palace, Supreme Harmony Palace, Void Palace, and Divine Palace were expanding outwards, the appearance of an Emperor Realm expert was too significant. Moreover, the Medicine God Palace was not only auctioning 1 or 2 Imperial Palace pills, but a total of 7. In addition, those who wanted to join the Medicine God Palace would have a chance to obtain the Imperial Palace pill directly. It was simply an endless temptation. Just like that, all the major forces in the divine world madly gathered towards the Medicine God Palace. There were ancient forces, new forces that rose in the past 10,000 years, other races, etc. As long as they had a foundation, they would all come. There were also many old monsters that had not appeared in the world for many years. The road to Emperor Realm was right in front of them. No one wanted to miss it. This auction was definitely the biggest auction in 10,000 years. Not only were there Imperial Palace pills, but there were also immortal items and various divine pills. In 3 months' time, many forces would definitely gather at the Medicine God Mountain. During this period, the Medicine God Mountain increased their vigilance and did not allow anything to happen during this period. The Medicine God Palace had stood in the divine world for many years. Their foundation was also unimaginable. However, this was still not enough. The remnant Immortal Palace and Divine Palace had taken down the Imperial Palace together. If they joined forces to attack, they would not be able to resist at all. In a large palace, there was another new palace that belonged to the 9 Palace Masters. This was a palace that had been prepared many years ago, but it had been left unused. Now, It had become Yang Wu's personal palace and was called the Martial Marquis Palace. This would also become the first palace of the Medicine God Palace. In the future, Yang Wu would cultivate here, meet his subordinates, etc. This place had been rearranged by Yang Wu. There were many more complicated formation patterns, making it appear even more mysterious and extraordinary. Even monarch-level experts couldn't destroy it. It was incomparably safe. Only Yang Wu and Little He were in the center of the main hall. His family members lived in the side hall of the temporary imperial residence, and there was quite a distance between them. Little He, you sure have guts. You actually dare to bully this sovereign. Yang Wu looked at Little He sinisterly as he spoke. Little He's fur stood on end. He kept backing away and said, "Master, please forgive me. I'm doing this so that you can awaken the memories of your past life as soon as possible. Look, I've done so much for you." He can already control the power of the universe. I've seen that he has the 5 elements immortal roots. He's going to be invincible in the future. Oh, an unparalleled chosen. They're all pretty good. When they return to the immortal world in the future, they'll all be outstanding youngsters. And Lu Ji, it kept talking about how hard it worked, but it was worried that its master would punish it. Is that so? Then who's the one who keeps calling me Little Woozy? You even said that you wanted to take me as your human pet. If I don't teach you a lesson today, you'll forget this sovereign's dignity. Yang Wu laughed coldly. A blue flame appeared in his palm. Waves of immortal qi rose, and the air crackled as it burned. Little He turned and ran, but the flame quickly chased after him. No matter how he ran, the flame caught up to him and burned his butt. Woof, woof, master, you're abusing your pet. This is inhumane. Woof, woof, master, your blue enchantress flame has reached the immortal rank. It's too powerful. When you return to the immortal world in the future, you'll definitely dominate the 9 heavens and 10 earths. None of the immortals will dare to disobey you. Please let me go. After being taught a lesson by Yang Wu, Little He finally became obedient. However, it was miserable. All the black fur on its body was gone, and it became a naked dog. It looked even cuter. Yang Wu carried it over and gently stroked it. "This is my cute pet." Little He wailed in its heart. "Master's back. I'm not cute at all. Go. Upgrade all the formations on Medicine God Mountain. If a 9 Suns realm cultivator comes, I'll make sure they don't leave." Yang Wu tossed Little He out. "Yes, master." Little He sighed in relief and hurriedly slipped away. "Take Lu Ji with you." Understood. Far away in the Luo state, in the ruined immortal palace, Kinsong and the God Emperor were gathered together. "Who is Yang Wu?" Kinsong asked the God Emperor. "I'll let one of my disciples tell you." The God Emperor waved at Kuan Mingzi behind him, then said, "Tell me about Yang Wu." "Yes, master." Kuan Mingzi stepped forward and bowed to Kinsong. He roughly explained Yang Wu's situation to Kinsong, then added, "I suspect that he's the reincarnation of an immortal." "Why are you so sure?" Kinsong stared at Kuan Mingzi and asked. Kuan Mingzi's immortal aura fluctuated, and a trace of evil appeared on his face. He said, "Because I'm one too." Kinsong and the God Emperor were both shocked. They clearly didn't expect Kuan Mingzi to say this. Kuan Mingzi's aura continued to rise. After a while, the battle mark between his brows became even more dazzling, and an immortal voice rang out. "This immortal is the reincarnation of the Ice Jade Immortal Palace's young palace master." He then looked at Kinsong and said, "I know you have many immortals here, but Zhenwu has already erased their immortal roots. They've all been reduced to cripples. Even if they manage to escape, they can only drag out an ignoble existence. Don't even think about waiting for the Void Immortal Emperor to come and save you." You also know about the Lord Immortal Emperor?" Kinsong's expression completely changed. Of course. The battle between the Void Immortal Emperor and Zhenwu Great Emperor shocked the immortals of the immortal world. "I'm ashamed to say that I died in that battle and was forced to reincarnate," Kuan Mingzi said indifferently. The God Emperor said, "You're not just playing tricks?" Try and take my palm." Kuan Mingzi laughed. He circulated his immortal energy, and a palm enveloped the god emperor. This ordinary-looking palm contained the power of the immortal Tao, intertwined with extraordinary power. When the god emperor came into contact with it, he was actually forced back. Good. It seems you were a Lord Immortal Emperor in your previous life. Kinsang's attitude changed. This group of immortals from the ruined Immortal Palace was originally just an ordinary immortal. Above them were the king, emperor, and monarch realms. If I were an immortal emperor, I could kill Jinwu. I'm only an immortal king. Greetings, Lord Immortal King. Please lead us back to the immortal world. At least you know your place. From now on, listen to this immortal king's orders. In the future, all of you will have a chance to return to the immortal world. In these 3 months, everyone in the Medicine God Palace was very busy. Only Yang Wu was more leisurely. After he refined the Emperor Palace pill, he didn't make any more moves. Instead, he wanted to train the people around him and help them become stronger. For example, he let his master consume the Emperor Palace pill and build a divine palace to break through to the half-emperor realm. For example, he taught Yu how to use the power of the immortal root to increase her combat strength. For example, he helped Yang Qingquan cultivate better immortal arts. He also took out the chaos lightning bead that he nurtured and placed it in Yang Qingquan's divine palace. Everyone who was close to him was undergoing earth-shattering changes. Shu Yujun, Wan Lanxin, Yang Ba, Su Chu, and the others had all entered the true God realm. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Many forces had already gathered at the foot of the Medicine God Mountain. Many powerful auras floated, condensing the Medicine God Mountain's aura pillar to the extreme. There were many different kinds of people in this place, and there were also many beings of different races. Clashes were inevitable. Moreover, the people who came this time were all top-notch beings in the God realm. If there were beings who deliberately came to cause trouble without enough power, there was no way to suppress them. However, the Medicine God Palace directly sent out 3 half-emperors to maintain order and directly killed the troublemakers. They showed their incomparable ruthlessness and stopped these conflicts. In addition, there were many experts who were willing to join the Medicine God Palace and seek refuge under divine Lord Wuho. In just a short month, the Wuho Palace gained 1,000 new troops. These 1,000 new troops were all immortal realm beings. There were also 100 true God experts and 2 half-emperors. These people were all able to stay because they broke through the heart-questioning array set up by Little Hay. Otherwise, it would be more than this. There were more than 100,000 people who expressed their willingness to join the Wuho Palace. Moreover, there was still an endless stream of people rushing over. On this day, the auction finally began. All the experts had gathered as well. The majestic aura was astonishing. The scale of the auction this time was unprecedentedly large. Even the Medicine God Palace had to expand the original auction hall several times. It could accommodate 100,000 beings at the same time for the auction. Just the entrance fee alone was already an incomparably large amount of income. The Medicine God Palace directly sent out the Hall of Myriad Objects as the auctioneer for this auction. Divine objects that were filled with divine aura were presented one after another. Every one of them was the best of the best and had extraordinary value. The starting price of the auction was also high. Without absolute wealth, it was impossible to participate. There were many divine objects, and not a single one of them went unsold. The atmosphere of the auction gradually reached a climax. Yang Wu and the various Hall of Myriad Objects watched this scene from the back and whispered to each other. "Divine Lord, the Imperial Palace Pill is about to be auctioned. I'm a little nervous." The Sunset Hall Master wiped his sweat and said, "I also feel a little suffocated." Xiao Yinyan echoed. The Imperial Palace Pill's value was immeasurable and attracted a large number of experts. They did not believe that the beings here would be obedient. There would definitely be beings who did not follow the rules. If they tried to snatch it, it would be difficult to suppress it. The Medicine God Palace Hall Master said, "The pill should not be taken out. Just let them auction it. After the auction, it will be handed over to the highest bidder. In any case, our Medicine God Palace's reputation is here. They could trust us, Yang Wu said with a smile. If we can't even suppress this situation, others will take the opportunity to destroy our medicine god palace. With this divine lord here, you can rest assured. These are not high-grade pills. They can have as many as they want. Chapter 1813. A Seven Tribulation Emperor grade pill wasn't a high-grade pill? If these words were to spread, most people would think that Yang Wu was being too pretentious. Even an alchemy emperor might not be able to refine a Seven Tribulation Emperor grade pill every single time. Moreover, it was the Emperor Palace pill. There was no such pill formula in the god world. Finally, the Myriad Hall Master announced, "Next up is the highlight of the auction. We are auctioning a Seven Tribulation Emperor Palace pill personally refined by our Medicine God Palace's Marshall Hall's Divine Lord. This pill has true value and was refined under the witness of the other 9 Hall Masters and many true God Elders. It can help a Boundary Emperor construct the final Divine Palace and enter the Emperor Grade realm with a success rate of more than 90%. A Seven Tribulation Emperor Palace pill is just a conservative estimate. Even if you're a Boundary Emperor whose blood energy is almost exhausted, it can still increase your chances of becoming an Emperor. There are a total of 7 pills being auctioned this time. The starting price for each pill is 100 large high-grade divine veins. What was a large high-grade divine vein? It was a divine vein that had reached 1 million high-grade divine stones. Only then would it be considered a large divine vein. 100. What a terrifying number. Even the major powers that occupied a region might not be able to obtain such a large amount. Only a major power with a long history would have the ability to take out so many divine veins. The formation of each divine vein required a long period of time. Even if the various powers would set up a meridian gathering formation to hasten the formation of divine veins, each high-grade divine stone needed at least 30 to 10,000 years to form. It depended on the level of the formation. However, this starting price wasn't high in the eyes of the top-notch beings. 100 large high-grade divine veins couldn't transform a Boundary Emperor into a true Emperor. However, an Emperor Palace pill had such an ability. Everyone held their breaths as they stared at the pill with 7 lightning runes. Even though it was covered by a container, it still made people drool. A foreign race being shouted, 120 high-grade divine veins. Too violent, adding 20 high-grade divine veins in one go. As expected of a foreign race living in the Great Desolate, they were too rich. 130 high-grade divine veins. Someone immediately followed. 140 high-grade divine veins. 145 high-grade divine veins. The price continued to rise, and soon it reached the price of 200 high-grade divine veins. This was the true value of the Imperial Palace elixir. Many of the living beings present felt suffocated upon hearing this number. In such an atmosphere, he could feel a large amount of divine veins flowing towards the Medicine God Temple. No wonder it was said that the Medicine God Temple was the richest temple in the divine world. Even the other 4 temples could not compare to it. Just as the price reached 200 high-grade divine veins, a discordant voice said, "The Imperial Palace pellet belongs to the strong. What's the point of bidding? I'm only half a step away from the Dichi realm. Why don't you give the Imperial Palace pellet to me? When I break through to the Dichi realm, I'll owe you a favor." It was a kind of devil race, quasi-emperor. Terrifying devil chi was released from all over its body. Even though it was in human form, one could vaguely see that its original form belonged to the devil dragon race. It was a powerful creature. I also want to try an Imperial Palace elixir. It is said that it is also useful for my monster race. The sound of a silver bell rang. It was an extremely charming creature with 7-colored light flowing around her body. She was an expert from the peacock race. This old man has 1 foot in the grave. I also want an Imperial Palace elixir to take a look at the Dichi realm. An old man with a decaying body said faintly, 7 Imperial Palace elixirs. That's quite a lot. Why don't we all borrow one from the Medicine God Temple? A man with a mask on his face said faintly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 powerful forces swept out from different corners of the auction house. This was a small space in the imperial palace. Those who could enter this place were all above the deity realm. However, in the face of such preparations, they were still unable to breathe. More than 10 boundary emperors. How many years had it been since they had gathered together? The Medicine God Temple actually dared to take out 7 imperial palace elixirs for auction. Even if the Medicine God Temple was here, he might not be able to suppress them alone. Moreover, there was news that the Medicine God Temple had not returned for many years. This was the reason why they were taking such a risk. You dare to rob my Medicine God Temple's territory? The Myriad Palace Lord shouted coldly. He was a 7 Suns realm expert, so he wasn't afraid of facing a quasi-emperor level creature. 3 boundary emperors from the Medicine God Temple also appeared in front of the Imperial Palace elixirs, guarding them. Divine Lord Wu Ho had said that after this trip, these old seniors would be rewarded according to their contributions. 1 Imperial Palace elixir per person was enough to make them loyal. There's no other way. We can't take out so many divine veins. Moreover, don't make it sound so bad. We're just borrowing, not robbing. The masked man said faintly. That's right. When we become emperors, the Medicine God Temple will definitely benefit. The decaying old man said. At this moment, someone recognized the decaying old man and exclaimed, "Could it be Poison Lord Fu Shi? Ha! I didn't expect someone to remember this old man. Not bad, not bad." The decaying old man laughed. Poison Lord Fu Shi was a terrifying figure who had made his name 10,000 years ago. No one could get close to him with his poison techniques. He had once destroyed a top force by himself. His poison techniques were extremely domineering. Cut the crap. If you don't want to give it to us, then we'll rob it together. Let's see if we have the ability. The evil demon dragon roared and charged forward. A dragon claw slammed towards the Imperial Palace elixir. At the same time, the others also made their moves. They were afraid that if they were too slow, the Imperial Palace elixir would be snatched by other living beings. Kill whoever dares to step forward. The Boundary Emperor guarding the Imperial Palace elixir shouted. However, who would care about his warning? Seeing that the Imperial Palace elixir was in danger, a divine light floated and blocked the evil demon dragon's claw. At the same time, it also blocked the other boundary emperors from grabbing it. This was the power of a formation. Moreover, it was extremely powerful. Otherwise, it would not have been able to block them. Someone exclaimed, "There is indeed a protection." Poison Lord Fu Shi extended a claw filled with corrosive poison and said coldly, "What kind of formation can I break?" The domineering poison gas scared the living beings in the auction, and they quickly retreated. Fortunately, the small space of the palace was big enough. Otherwise, it would have caused a crowded situation. Your strength is not enough. All of you attack together. Whoever can open the defensive barrier will have the Imperial Palace elixir. A faint voice rang out, and a figure quietly appeared in front of everyone. It was a young man with an unparalleled temperament. He was dressed in a dark blue robe, which accentuated his tall and slender figure. There was a hint of mockery in his fairy-like eyes, as if he was looking down on these quasi-emperors. When the women here saw this young man, they were all infatuated. This was an unparalleled young man. He was also the current ruler of the Medicine God Palace, Wuho Divine Lord Yang Wu. Yang Wu stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at these boundary emperors without any fear. He did not put these living beings in his eyes at all. "Greetings, Divine Lord." The people of the Medicine God Palace bowed. The living beings present instantly knew Yang Wu's identity. They were all very curious. Who had passed down the inheritance to Yang Wu to be able to refine such a high-grade elixir? Yang Wu waved his hand, gesturing for them to dispense with the formalities. He then said, "Are you all stupid? Why aren't you breaking the formation and taking the elixir? This Divine Lord can refine as many elixirs as he wants. You guys are risking your lives to become enemies with the Medicine God Palace for them. You guys are really bold. Since that's the case, I'll capture you to refine the elixir for me." The peacock's spirit laughed. He turned into a ray of rainbow divine light and enveloped Yang Wu. Before the peacock could touch Yang Wu, someone rushed out from his side. A blue fist came crashing over like a vast ocean. Bang! The power of an emperor instantly spread out in all directions. Even though the spreading force was suppressed, it was still very strong. The fist broke the peacock's arm and sent him flying. Before the peacock could regain her senses, the person who attacked had already transformed into a shadow. He raised a shield and smashed it down furiously. This shield was flowing with immortal chi. The power of the reversal was enough to suppress this part of the world. The peacock was suppressed on the spot. She coughed out blood continuously. The beautiful woman from before was now in an extremely sorry state. Emperor! Fear flashed across the faces of all living beings. Who would have thought that a great emperor would appear in the medicine god palace? Moreover, he wasn't even a medicine emperor. Have you asked for my permission before attacking Divine Lord Marquis? The battle emperor, Yang Zhonglo, who was standing on the peacock, shouted coldly. The war province was no longer in danger. How could Yang Zhonglo not attend such a grand event organized by the Medicine God Palace? Other than him, other boundary emperors from the war race also came. You scoundrels, get lost if you don't have the divine pulse. Don't embarrass yourself here. Boundary Emperor Xinyuan stood out and shouted coldly. The boundary emperor from the Ho clan also said, if you want to snatch the emperor elixir, stay here and wait for death. That's right. If you want the emperor elixir, take out the divine pulse. Don't cause trouble here. An expert from a major force stood out and shouted. With an emperor-level living being here, they felt more confident. Breaking the rules. You really don't know your own strength. Another living being said. The living beings who wanted to snatch the emperor elixir had ugly expressions. Is a battle emperor very impressive? The masked man said. The power of the 9 divine palaces also erupted from his body. It was as if there were 9 suns in the sky. He was incomparably powerful. He was also an emperor-level living being. Yang Zhonglo stared at the other party and said, Who are you? Who I am is not important. What's important is that I want to take the emperor elixir. You can't stop me. The masked man said. Then, he reached out with a golden palm to grab the emperor elixir. Yang Zhonglo didn't stop him. This was Yang Wu's intention. Sure enough, the golden palm was also blocked by the defensive light screen. The masked man's eyes narrowed. Then he shouted, Explode! The power of the 9 suns erupted, wanting to forcefully tear apart the defensive light screen. However, the defensive light screen was as firm as a rock. The array light was dazzling. Even emperor-level power can't break it. Everyone was shocked. Is an emperor level really that impressive? He's just a true god with 9 palaces. Little Hay can suppress him. Yang Wu still didn't put this emperor-level living being in his eyes. Woof woof. Chapter 1814. A little hay dog appeared in the palace. It was very small, like a domestic dog cub. Its body was bare and very cute. The celestial dog was called Xiao Tian. It was Little Hay. How dare you behave so atrociously in my master's territory? Even if you're an immortal, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Little Hay said fiercely. Then, it stepped into the air and flew towards the masked man. With the support of the formation, it waved its claws and a sharp light pierced through the air. A little dog dares to behave atrociously here? Are you trying to humiliate me? The masked man shouted coldly. He waved his hand and wanted to slap Little Hay into a pool of blood. However, when the power of his palm collided with the descending claws, the power of his palm was torn apart. The power of the claws continued to claw at his face. The hair on the masked man's body stood on end. He quickly retreated. However, the mask on his face couldn't block the claws. It was torn apart, revealing an ugly face. He was definitely not from the 5 imperial palaces. There was only one possibility. He was from the ruined immortal palace or a hidden imperial realm expert. You're trying to scare people with such an ugly face. You might as well be shameless. Little Hay shouted. It quickly chased after the masked man. It waved its claws continuously and clawed at the imperial realm expert. Little Hay was too fast. Even the imperial realm expert felt like he couldn't catch it. Its claws scratched his face a few times, almost tearing it off. If it wasn't for his great strength, his face would have been scratched off. At this moment, he finally sensed how terrifying this little hay dog was. Even though it was relying on the power of the formation, it still made him feel fear. However, he was a monarch-level creature after all, so how could he escape just like that? The power of his divine palace erupted, and layers of defensive power were released. The power of his palm erupted like a mountain torrent, intending to forcefully suppress and kill Blackie. Meanwhile, this power of his swept out in all directions, crushing towards the creatures here. The creatures here were so frightened that their faces turned green and their bodies trembled. Just as the power was about to crush them, the power of the formation appeared again. It actually forcefully isolated the power of the Imperial Realm expert. A voice sounded, "Everyone, don't worry. An immortal level formation has been set up here. Even if an immortal comes, he won't be able to hurt you. Just relax and watch the show." This was Yang Wu's voice. Immediately, the living beings present fell silent. At the same time, they felt that it was unbelievable. There was really an immortal level formation here? Who could set up an immortal level formation? In the immortal realm, there were only immortal formations set up by sub-immortals in the past, or immortal formations set up by the clones of those almighty figures who had ascended to the immortal realm. Even if there was an immortal level formation in the Medicine God Palace, it wouldn't be set up in an auction, right? No matter what, the power of the Imperial Realm expert didn't affect them. Meanwhile, those sub-emperors who had just wanted to attack were all stunned. They had dominated and made a name for themselves for many years. They stood at the peak of the immortal realm and could do whatever they wanted. Now, were they going to fall here? Then they saw that the little hay dog had dealt with the Imperial Realm expert so miserably. Countless claws easily broke through the Imperial Realm expert's defense, scratching him until he was covered in wounds. One had to know how strong the defense of an Imperial Realm expert was and how strong his physical body was. Even a true god weapon couldn't hurt him. What kind of background did this little hay dog have to be able to injure an Imperial Realm expert to this extent? This Imperial Realm expert was about to cry. His name was Qin Xiang, and he came from the ruined Immortal Palace. He had come to destroy this auction, but in the end, he couldn't even deal with a little hay dog. It was too difficult. No matter how much power he unleashed, the immortal formation isolated him. In this narrow space, he couldn't even touch Little Hay. Moreover, his aura was completely useless against Little Hay. Little Hay turned into a series of afterimages, scratching him until he was covered in wounds. It was a tragic sight. "Ah, I will definitely kill you," Qin Xiang screamed crazily. An ancient cauldron flew out from his body. It was a sub-immortal level treasure, and waves of immortal light kept falling. He wanted to destroy this formation and also wanted to kill Little Hay. "So what if you have a sub-immortal weapon? You're just a piece of trash." Little Hay replied. It spat out true samadhi fire from its mouth. The domineering flame touched Qin Xiang's body and seeped into his power, burning him directly. As Yang Wu's strength increased, Little Hay's seal had been broken by a lot. With its ability, with the help of the formation, it had no fear against Imperial Realm experts. The power of Qin Xiang's divine palace kept compressing and erupting. It was like a volcano that had been suppressed for a long time. Not only did it want to disperse the flames, it also wanted to break this formation. The immortal cauldron grew bigger and bigger, but it still couldn't break through the power of the immortal formation. The true samadhi fire started to spread over his body, burning his divine body. It entered his internal organs and wanted to burn his divine palace. At this moment, he was really afraid. He started to shout, "I am from the ruined Immortal Palace. Let me go, or the Medicine God Palace will be destroyed. Little Hay, your firepower is so weak. You can't even burn a person to death." "You are embarrassing me," Yang Wu said. "Master, don't worry. I don't want him to die so easily," Little Hay replied. Those sub-emperors who attacked just now were so scared that they peed their pants. An Imperial Realm expert was trapped and killed by a little hay dog. He didn't have the strength to fight back at all. What about them? Run. Those sub-emperors didn't have a choice. If they didn't run now, they wouldn't be able to escape. However, just as they wanted to move, the power of the formation restrained them. They couldn't escape even if they wanted to. "Let me go. I was just joking," Sub-Emperor Immo Xielong shouted. At the same time, he was still erupting with majestic power, trying to break free from the restraint. However, he couldn't do it. The other sub-emperors activated their top-grade divine weapons, trying to force their way out. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it at all. The array formation formed many array swords, which fell above their heads and slashed down at them. Swoosh, swoosh. The killing power of the formation swords was comparable to that of an Imperial Realm expert. Their bodies were covered in wounds, and screams of pain could be heard continuously. So what if they were sub-emperors? They were nothing more than fish on the chopping block here. Those who wanted to snatch the Imperial Palace pill felt lucky that they didn't do so. Otherwise, they would have ended up like them. At this time, Little Hei's true Samadhi fire had completely ignited Qin Xiang's divine body. He was in so much pain that he couldn't stop screaming. No matter what he did, he couldn't extinguish the immortal fire. He screamed, "I want all of you to die together." Since he was forced to his limit, he might as well self-destruct and destroy everything here. "You think too much." Little Hei stopped playing around and said. Then, her claws landed on Qin Xiang's head with the power of the formation. His head exploded on the spot, and the true Samadhi fire burned his body into ashes. An Imperial Realm expert died on the spot. Those sub-emperors were so scared that they peed their pants. "Please let me go. I won't do it again. I'm willing to surrender. I'm willing to surrender. Please kill me. I won't dare to do it again. As long as you let me go, I'm willing to compensate you with 100 high-grade divine meridians." These sub-emperors were so mighty just now, but now they were like stray dogs. They had lost all their arrogance. "What's the use of keeping you? Kill all of you," Yang Wu shouted coldly. "Yes, my lord." Lu Ji, who was secretly controlling the formation, replied. Immediately after, the power of the array formation increased tremendously. Array swords fell one after another, containing a crazy power, killing all of the quasi-emperors. "Yang Wu, you'll die a horrible death. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. You're crazy. I surrender. I'm a sub-emperor. Don't kill me." No matter how these sub-emperors screamed, they couldn't escape the fate of death. The materials used to set up this formation were equivalent to the price of an Imperial Palace pill. If they didn't die, it would be a waste to set up this formation. Qin Xiang was dead, and the sub-emperors died at the same time. No one could escape. The living beings present felt a chill. This massacre was even more exciting than the auction of the Imperial Palace pill. Sub-emperors were basically the top figures in the divine world. It was rare to see them. Today, more than 10 of them died. This was undoubtedly a historical battle. And the one who had caused this tragedy was actually the magnificent divine Lord Wu Ho in front of him. "Remove the formation. Men, clean up the battlefield. The auction will continue," Yang Wu ordered. He then said to the people present, "Since my medicine god temple dares to auction the Imperial Palace pill, we have to be fully prepared. Whoever dares to not follow the rules will end up like them. I don't care if they're sub-emperors or true emperors. In the territory of the medicine god temple, they must follow the rules. We welcome everyone who came to support us. I, Yang Wu, thank everyone for coming. I hope that everyone can continue to support us in the future and even become allies of the Medicine God Temple. We are willing to become allies of the Medicine God Temple." These living beings didn't dare to say anything else and quickly responded. Being able to become an ally of the Medicine God Temple was also a very beneficial thing for them. "Okay, after the auction is over, I will order people to prepare a banquet and invite everyone to have a drink together." Yang Wu responded and then disappeared. The myriad palace lord's voice sounded again. "The auction will continue." At this moment, the auction reached its climax. The 7 Imperial Palace pills were sold at the highest price of 313 large high-grade divine veins. Some ancient powers wanted to buy them even if they had to empty their families. Some powers joined forces to buy them. There was no lack of allies among them. A great emperor was enough to change the structure of the divine world. 7 Imperial Palace pills meant that 7 great emperors were destined to appear. Even if the incomplete Immortal Palace and Supreme Harmony Palace wanted to expand, it wouldn't be so easy. This was what Yang Wu wanted to do. He wanted to change the structure of the divine world. After the auction ended, the place was quickly emptied. An unprecedented banquet was held here. Yang Wu brought Ziyu, Shu Yujun, and Wan Lanxin out. He toasted with the living beings present. He raised his cup and said, "This cup is with everyone. From now on, we are all allies. Let's drink with God, Lord Wu Ho." The living beings shouted in unison. At this moment, Yang Wu displayed the potential of being the #1 person in the divine world. At this moment, the incomplete immortal palace also started to call the other imperial palaces over for a meeting. They were preparing to enter the most famous immortal graveyard in the divine world, Immortal Gazing Ridge. Chapter 1815. Immortal Gazing Ridge was the largest immortal land in the immortal realm. Countless Emperor-level experts would head to Immortal Gazing Road and step into the immortal realm. This was an ancient place filled with an extremely strong pressure. It was not something ordinary creatures could get close to. The immortal roots of the troops of the ruined immortal palace had been destroyed. It was too difficult to recover their immortal roots in this lifetime. They only had a chance at Immortal Gazing Ridge. They didn't necessarily want to become immortals again. Instead, they hoped to borrow the power of Kuan Mingzi's immortal roots to activate the immortal qi and refine their destroyed immortal bodies. As long as they recovered a bit of immortal qi, they would be sub-immortals. They would be able to sweep through the immortal realm. There were a total of 19 ruined immortals, including the ruined image who had just died in the Medicine God Palace. There were still 18 ruined immortals. Each of them had emperor-level strength. After passing through layers of obstacles, they finally arrived at Immortal Gazing Ridge. This was a huge mountain filled with immortal qi. This was the largest mountain in the immortal realm. Its peak pierced into the clouds, and the peak couldn't be seen. They were all covered in blood. They were in a sorry state. The journey was not peaceful, as expected of the place where immortals ascended. I can feel the scent of immortals. We were sent down to kill great Emperor Jinwu. We were suppressed for more than an era. If we want to step into the immortal realm again, we have to work hard. I hope Master can remember us. What's the point of being so emotional? We're already lucky that we didn't die. As long as we recover our sub-immortal realm, we can take root in the immortal realm. With an immortal king leading us, we can definitely return to the immortal realm in the future. Let's go up this Immortal Gazing Ridge and see if it's really that magical. Kuan Mingzi wore a white robe. He was like the son of an immortal. He led the creatures behind him and walked up Immortal Gazing Ridge. The immortal qi in his body flowed, activating the extremely dense energy here. Stars, sun, and moon appeared in the sky at the same time. A strange great Tao suppressed him at the same time. Every step he took was extremely difficult. Kan Song, Emperor God, and the others also went up. At first, they didn't feel much pressure. However, as they went up, they felt like their legs were filled with lead. It was too difficult to walk. Immortal Gazing Ridge, Road of Heavenly Ascension. Can I see immortals if I walk past it? Kuan Mingzi murmured. Then he said loudly, "Work hard and go as far as you can. Cultivating here is 100 times better than cultivating outside." Immediately after, his immortal energy continued to envelop the area, absorbing more and more energy. He walked faster and faster, actually leaving Kan Song, God Emperor, and the others behind. As expected of the reincarnation of an immortal king. Too powerful. Song Song said in worship, "I've walked through this place before, but I can't even walk a third of it. There's the pressure of the immortal Tao. Only by condensing the immortal Tao can I walk up. Seems like I'll have to condense my Tao again before going up." The God Emperor was indeed worthy of being called an outstanding talent. After staring at the power released by Kuan Mingzi, he was enlightened. Song Tsong glanced at the God Emperor and smiled. "You have such comprehension ability. No wonder you can reach the peak of the God realm. However, this is not enough. You need an immortal art. Without an immortal art, no matter how strong your comprehension ability is, your achievements are limited." The God Emperor looked at Song Tsong and said, "Even without the immortal art, I can still break through the shackles." He had never begged anyone in his life, so naturally, he wouldn't ask Song Tsang to give him an immortal art. When he finished speaking, Kuan Mingzi's voice rang in his ears. It was an immortal art. The God Emperor's eyes twitched, but he didn't say anything. He didn't feel very comfortable with this kind of gift, but he could only accept it silently. His former disciple had become the reincarnation of an immortal king. He should be happy, but he couldn't. He felt that Kuan Mingzi was very scheming, even more so than him. Such a person wouldn't be controlled by others. At the same time, he was also a cold and emotionless master. He didn't know if it was good or bad for his daughter to follow him. The auction of the Divine Medicine Hall had come to an end. This auction would be recorded in the annals of history. A total of 1 emperor-level creature and more than a dozen quasi-emperors had fallen. A large number of factions had chosen to become allies with the Divine Medicine Hall. The name of Divine Lord Wu Ho had also completely ascended to the most dazzling stage. He was comparable to the Emperor of Grand Harmony, the Void Emperor, and other emperor-level creatures. He wasn't an emperor, but he could create one. For countless years, there were very few people who could become emperors. Now that Yang Wu could create emperors, it would break the balance. It was like returning to the golden age of the ancient times. It could help more people become emperors, and ascending to immortality wouldn't be a problem. Everyone could vaguely see the rise of this era. Countless alchemists wanted to become Yang Wu's disciple. Unfortunately, Yang Wu wasn't interested in taking in disciples at the moment. However, this didn't stop more people from joining the Medicine God Palace. Whether it was alchemists or martial artists, the number of people increased by almost 100,000. There were also many true God-level experts and even sub-emperors. The strength of the entire Medicine God Palace had increased more than twofold. The Wuho Palace had selected a group of elites for their use. After Yang Wu appeared at the auction, he didn't appear in the public eye again. There were too many things he needed to do, and he didn't have time to deal with everything outside. For example, now he needed to help a sub-emperor of the Ape Clan to enter the emperor level. Since Sun Do had asked, how could he not help? For example, the original sub-emperor of the Medicine God Palace also wanted to break through to the emperor level, and the sub-emperor of the War Tribe also wanted to take that step. In addition, there was also the most important thing. He wanted to increase the strength of his trusted subordinates. This was the most important thing. He had opened the spatial door between Wuho County and the Medicine God Palace. In the future, Wuho County would be his backyard. He planned to completely isolate it and form an independent divine land for cultivation. As for the people who lived in Wuho County, they could all join the Wuho faction and become a part of it. As long as they proved that they had enough talent, they could stay in the divine land to cultivate. If they didn't have talent, they would be arranged to continue living in other places of the divine residence. Now, Wuho County had become completely different. Yang Wu had completely arranged the divine veins that he had obtained from the auction in Wuho County. The divine veins were like dragons, and the 81 high-grade divine veins formed a peerless immortal matrix at the same time. It quickly helped Wuho County become a first-class divine land for cultivation. Under the effect of the immortal matrix, it would be more extraordinary than any other divine land. In the future, as the essence of the sun and the moon continued to condense, this place would become a paradise. After Yang Wu's memory was awakened, Little Hay had no reason to be lazy. It couldn't wait to quickly execute every order that Yang Wu gave it to make up for what it had done to its master. During this time, Lu Ji and Little Hay worked together to arrange the matrix. Their matrix skills were getting stronger and stronger. It wouldn't be long before he would become the most powerful matrix master in the God realm. After the immortal matrix was completed, the endless power of the stars fell. The sun and the moon appeared together again. The purple chi from the east sprinkled the light of the moon, making this place completely different. A large amount of chi of life rolled out from the Taishan Mountains toward Wushuan County. When I first chose this place, I felt that the Taishan Mountains were extraordinary. Now I am even more certain that it is an ancient divine vein. After combining with the immortal matrix, the Taishan Mountains will eventually benefit. But Wuho County is the real center. In the future, this is no longer Wuho County, but the territory of Wu Ho Gang. Yang Wu looked at the changes in the surroundings and said faintly. A chaos boundary stone appeared. He formed a sword with his finger and quickly wrote the words Wu Ho Gang on this chaos boundary stone. After the words were written, chaotic divine light floated, and sword chi overflowed, gathering the might of the immortal path. Fall! After Yang Wu said this, he used a magic. The chaos boundary stone turned into a huge stone tablet and fell toward the entrance of Wu Ho Gang. Bang! The chaos stone tablet fell, and Wu Ho Gang stabilized the god realm. Everyone in Wu Ho Gang felt it, and they all looked solemn. They silently recited the words Wu Ho Gang. In the future, they would be proud of this. Master, this move is just like when you were in the immortal realm. It's amazing. Little Hay rushed over and said fawningly. Don't flatter me. The matrix seems to have been set up, but the matrix pattern you created is not perfect. You didn't put in any effort. Do you have a problem with me? Yang Wu narrowed his eyes at Little Hay. Little Hay's naked body tensed up. Master, how could I dare to do such a thing? It's all because my power has not been completely unsealed. If I had unsealed it, there wouldn't be any flaws. Yes, your power has been sealed by them. It's my fault. Yang Wu waved his hand and took Little Hay into his arms. He stroked Little Hay and sighed. Woof, woof. Master, don't be sad. When you return to your peak strength, I will too. Little Hay replied. Then I will improve my strength as soon as possible. Yang Wu said with a trace of seriousness. Are you going to look for the 9th type of mysterious essence chi? There's no rush. Looking for the 9th type of mysterious essence chi with this kind of strength is undoubtedly suicide. Besides, we already know its whereabouts. There's no need to worry about it escaping. First, I'll turn the divine palace into an immortal palace and create a flawless immortal body. Master, you've already recovered your memories. It's only a matter of time. Time doesn't wait for me. Even if I set up an immortal matrix here, it's still too slow. I vaguely feel that there's someone in the immortal realm controlling everything here. I must quickly recover and return to the immortal realm to take a look. Then what's your plan? The immortal realm can't be compared to the immortal realm, but there are many things that the immortal realm can't compare to. Every world of life has its own unique meaning. Otherwise, it's impossible to ascend to immortality. Let's go to the legendary immortal gazing ridge to take a look. Yang Wu gathered the people around him. Yu Yu, Shu Yujun, Wan Lanxin, Sun Do, Lu Ji, Hao Run, and the others, and prepared to head to the immortal gazing ridge. In addition to these people, he also called the Hall Masters of the Medicine God Temple to give them a great opportunity. Now, not only was the immortal matrix set up in Marquis County, but even the Medicine God Mountains matrix had been upgraded. It was equipped with emergency capabilities and was not afraid of any sudden attacks. The incident at the auction also served as a deterrent, so the Medicine God Temple was safe. Chapter 1816. Immortal Gazing Ridge could see immortals, and its surroundings were all natural barriers. There were a large number of ancient mountain ranges and a large number of living creatures. Countless races were entrenched here. If one wanted to reach Immortal Gazing Ridge, they had to pass through them first. An ancient war chariot appeared with close to 100 people inside. It approached the periphery of Immortal Gazing Ridge. As they flew past this place, there were powerful creatures flying past them, attacking them. It was an ancient flying beast. Its body was huge, blotting out the sky, and its demonic aura surged into the sky. Yu Yu, the flying beast, attacked like an eagle. Its wings turned into tens of thousands of sharp blades, slashing at the war chariot. A voice rang out from the war chariot. Woof, woof. A small flying beast dares to challenge my immortal chariot? You overestimate yourself. Formation light flowed on the war chariot. A translucent power formed a light screen, enveloping the war chariot, allowing the flying beast to attack. The people on the war chariot faced all of this calmly, as if they were full of confidence in the war chariot's formation. Bang! The flying beast's power slammed into the formation, but it didn't break the formation. The flying beast was forcefully sent flying. The war chariot continued forward, not affected at all. Next, a large number of flying beasts also rushed over. They erupted with boundless light, wanting to destroy the war chariot. The war chariot was pulled by a true dragon. Terrifying dragon roars rang out, forcefully killing these flying beasts. These were the true dragons that came from Yangnu's Mount and Yang Jinlong. They had all grown up, two true dragons with incomparably pure bloodlines, and Little Silver who evolved from a silver-patterned turtle into a black tortoise. Their demonic aura surged into the heavens. Everywhere they passed, no demons dared to stop them. Behind them, vicious beasts rushed over one after another. They had extremely low intelligence and only knew how to kill. They didn't care if the other party was a true dragon or not. These creatures at the periphery couldn't stop the true dragons at the true god level. A path was forcefully torn open, heading straight for immortal Gazing Ridge. Powerful creatures appeared one after another, and there were even emperor-level creatures. The immortal world was vast and boundless. The human race had 5 emperors, but it didn't mean that the other races didn't have emperor-level creatures. On the contrary, there were many hidden emperor-level creatures. They pursued the immortal realm and didn't want to rule. This was especially so for the creatures near immortal Gazing Ridge. They comprehended the immortal Tao and had a chance to become immortals. Yang Zhonglo appeared, of course, but it was to create an opportunity for Yang. Yang Wu didn't care at all. No matter how many emperors there were, they couldn't compare to Blackie. Even if Blackie had not been completely unsealed as a celestial hound, how could they compare to it? Soon, they arrived in front of the immortal Gazing Ridge. Feeling the majestic aura of the immortal Gazing Ridge, they were all relaxed and happy. Of the two to the Gasto. I've known about the existence of immortal Gazing Ridge since a long time ago, but this is the first time I've been so close to it. Yang Zhonglo sighed with emotion. Do you have the right to become an immortal just by ascending immortal Gazing Ridge? Lu Ji's eyes flowed with the power of yin and yang. He looked up and said softly. He could only see a hazy area and couldn't see the scenery at the top of the mountain. Sun Do carried his battle rod and said, "Go up and take a look. No one can stop us." Yang Wu smiled and said, "We didn't come to immortal Gazing Ridge for you to climb to the top. There is immortal chi here to strengthen your physique and help you have more potential to become immortals. In the future, you can break the shackles and ascend to the immortal realm. What qualifications do you have to become immortals?" A cold and arrogant voice sounded from a direction. A fiery red figure flew out. It was a vermilion bird. Her entire body was surrounded by divine flames. She was like a goddess of the 9 heavens. She was incomparably dazzling. This was a vermilion bird that had reached the emperor level. She was very good-looking. If she transformed into human form, she would be a first-class beauty. The true dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were the top races of the demon race. They were born with the strength of a saint. Once they grew up, they would be invincible in the same realm. Little Hay replied first, "Because I'm a celestial emperor." Little bird, quickly submit. I'll give you an immortal opportunity. How dare you? The vermilion bird shouted. A divine flame shot towards Little Hay. The divine flame broke through space and directly ignited in Little Hay's direction. No one could defend against it. "Woof, woof, little bird. How dare you play with fire in front of me? You really don't know what's good for you." Little Hay replied. She opened her mouth and forcefully swallowed the divine flame that lingered around her body. Then, a true samadhi fire burned towards the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird's eyes twitched. She felt threatened. She moved away and turned into a divine flame. Endless waves of fire covered Little Hay and Yang Wu's group. If they wanted to ascend the immortal Gazing Ridge, they had to pass through her first. For countless years, living beings had tried to ascend the immortal Gazing Ridge. However, no one had really become an immortal. She had also tried to ascend the immortal Gazing Ridge. However, in the end, she had returned without success. It was as if a ridge was a world. It was impossible to force it. "You're still so arrogant. I'll pluck all your feathers. Little Hay was furious. Her body grew bigger, and a powerful demonic aura swept out from her body. She lowered her claws, and the claws became bigger. She forcefully tore through the vermilion bird's domain and clawed at the vermilion bird. Little Hay's realm had not recovered to the martial emperor realm. However, it had no problem fighting a martial emperor. It had an immortal body that could not be killed or destroyed. It was not something the vermilion bird could compare to. The vermilion bird had cultivated for many years. Her divine flame was boundless. It enveloped heaven and earth. She thought that she could refine Little Hay. However, Little Hay ignored her and directly leaped behind her. It clawed at her, almost tearing her body apart. Little bird, how dare you be so impudent? Surrender, and I'll give you an immortal opportunity. Otherwise, I'll swallow you alive. Little Hay shouted fiercely. Roar. Suddenly, a terrifying tiger's roar rang out. A murderous golden energy tore through the air from afar. It broke through layers of space and landed on Little Hay. Little Hay's reaction was extremely fast. It turned into an afterimage and dodged the attack. Moreover, it even tore off one of the vermilion bird's wings. A white tiger came from afar. Boundless, murderous golden energy swept through heaven and earth, forming a golden storm. It attacked Little Hay, and the heaven and earth were devastated. That's the white tiger, Yang Wushuang shouted excitedly. The vermilion bird and the white tiger have both appeared. I have the true dragon and the black tortoise on my side. One day, I'll help them all become immortals. When we return to the immortal world, it'll be wonderful to have them help us, Yang Wu murmured. Father, I want him to be my mount, Yang Tianjiao said expectantly. Tell your uncle Little Hay that both the vermilion bird and the white tiger can stay, Yang Wu said nonchalantly. In the immortal world, these top-tier demonic beasts were nothing more than mounts for immortal-level beings. Perhaps in other realms, the demon race, and other races were all incomparably powerful beings. But in the immortal world, humans were the true rulers. You humans sure talk big. Do you really think you're immortals? The white tiger roared. Terrifying demonic energy erupted, reaching the peak of the immortal emperor realm. Its strength was even more domineering than the vermilion bird. It already had the potential to become an immortal. If I'm not immortal, then are you? Blackie replied. Then it clashed with the white tiger. The two powerful demonic beasts clashed with each other continuously. Heaven and earth were on the verge of collapsing. The white tiger was the master of metal. Its murderous metal energy was incomparably pure, and its killing power was the most terrifying. Little Hay unleashed the true Samadhi fire, wanting to burn the white tiger to death. But the white tiger's strength was indeed above its current level. Its golden claws slashed down, turning into tiger fists that filled the sky. Little Hay was sent flying continuously. Uncle Little Hay can't handle it, Yang Tianjiao said, covering his face. Little Hay was greatly provoked. It shouted, it was just a moment of carelessness. Take my immortal thunder seal. It spat out a immortal thunder seal. It was the sky thunder mountain from before. The thunder mountain kept growing, and immortal energy lingered around it. Boundless power of thunder and lightning suppressed the white tiger. No matter how strong the white tiger's power was, it couldn't move the thunder immortal. It forced the white tiger to spit out an item. It was a golden bell. Boundless bell chimes reverberated endlessly, blocking the immortal thunder seal. An immortal bell? Yang Wu said excitedly. In the next moment, his moon soul battle form appeared. He held the champagne shield and suppressed the white tiger. As long as Little Hay's power was not completely unsealed, it would not be able to become an invincible creature. The vermilion bird rushed up again. Its broken wings regenerated, turning into thousands of flaming blades that attacked Yang Wu. Young Emperor, let me do it. Yang Zhonglo stood up and said. It's fine, Yang Wu said with a wave of his hand. Little Hay, stand down first. White tiger, vermilion bird, submit to me and I'll give you immortal opportunities. Yang Wu said faintly. Immortal energy lingered around his body, as if a true immortal had descended to the mortal world. Endless wind and clouds gathered around him, as if they were swallowing the world. At this moment, Yang Wu finally used the combat power he had in his previous life. White Tiger and Vermilion Bird stood on his left and right. The former roared, "Why?" The latter said, "Even if you're an immortal, you don't have the right." They attacked Yang Wu at the same time, one in front and one behind. The murderous gold energy formed a storm that turned into a golden ocean. The domineering murderous gold energy was full of destructive power. Vermilion Bird's body erupted with endless divine fire. Streaks of divine fire turned into swords that fell, wanting to cut Yang Wu into pieces. These were all Emperor-level powers. Even Yang Zhonglou could only run in the face of them. They were too talented. "Then I'll suppress you first," Yang Wu said faintly. Many powers gathered on the Xianpan shield. In the next moment, the Xianpan shield disintegrated like a broken plate. Endless power attacked them together. At this moment, it was as if the forbidden land of destruction had reappeared. The terrifying reversal power was unstoppable. Boom, boom, boom. Bursts of explosions rang out incessantly. The disc breaker ground shattered the attacks of the White Tiger and the Vermilion Bird and shrouded them. Roar! White Tiger did not retreat. He turned into a powerful tiger the size of a mountain. The murderous gold energy in this area was all under his control. The tiger turned into a fist and crashed into the forbidden land of destruction, wanting to forcefully shatter the forbidden land of destruction. Oh! Vermilion Bird also rushed to the 9 heavens, flapping its wings rapidly. Waves of divine fire turned into a sea with a strong burning power that was enough to burn the sky and boil the sea. Chapter 1817. On Immortal Gazing Ridge, on the countless steps, there were dozens of people prostrating on the steps. They couldn't continue moving forward at all, and they even started to cry out in pain. "I have sinned. I am willing to repent. But I am an immortal. What is wrong with killing ants? I don't care about the past or the future. I just want to ascend to immortality. Why are you stopping me?" Immortal energy lingered around their bodies, but it also left. They weren't able to stop it because they belonged to ruined Immortal Hall. On the other hand, the God Emperor had reached a higher level than them. He had received the nourishment of wisps of immortal qi, and after using the immortal arts that Kuan Mingzi had passed down, his divine cord had become clear, and he had comprehended the immortal Tao. He had begun to condense his own immortal Tao power. Reaching this step, he already had the potential to become an immortal. But to completely transform the power of the divine chains into immortal Tao power, how many years would it take? Unless he was willing to stay here and cultivate, forgetting the matters of the mortal world. On the steps, there were many emperor skeletons sitting on different steps. There were humans and other races. They were all piles of white bones on the path to immortality. They didn't complete the transformation and died here. Even if they died, the endless emperor might and immortal energy merged together, suppressing countless heroes here. If one wanted to reach the top, they had to pass through them first. How could people who weren't as outstanding as them reach the top? On the steps, apart from emperor might, there were also immortal illusions. All of them considered the will of those who reached the top. The one at the front of ruined Immortal Hall's people was Kensong. He was the strongest, and his will was also the strongest. He wanted to become an immortal again, to condense his own immortal Tao. In my past life, I was a half-immortal king. A mere immortal staircase can't stop me. Kensong roared in his heart. Every step he took was filled with power. The dried-up, immortal blood in his body couldn't move at all. Endless power was still grinding away at his life force. When he took another step, he spat out a mouthful of blood. A strand of immortal energy lingered in his body, activating a bit of his immortal body's power. His broken life force was reignited. He couldn't help but laugh maniacally. "I finally feel alive, haha." When they came out of the Forbidden Land, their immortal bodies were already crippled. However, they relied on special techniques to continue to maintain a sliver of battle prowess. and this sliver of battle prowess could allow them to battle Emperor-level creatures. It was clear how extraordinary the immortal realm was. In their group, only Kuan Mingzi was able to move forward without being affected by the environment. However, when he was about to reach the top of a mortal gazing ridge, he was blocked by a powerful barrier. "Is this the gate of the immortal realm?" Kuan Mingzi murmured. Immortal chi swirled around him as his power continued to gather. He formed a seal with both hands and slammed it onto the enchantment of the immortal world. Bang! The barrier of the immortal world had a rebounding force, forcibly knocking away Kuan Mingzi's force. "Touch the gate of immortality. Suffer the punishment of lightning." A sound rang out, and the power of immortal lightning exploded from the barrier, blasting towards Kuan Mingzi. Kuan Mingzi's eyes flickered as he frantically retreated. He pulled out the god-slaying sword and slashed out with an incomparably stunning sword. Strands of immortal energy collided with the immortal lightning, but it was actually unable to destroy it. Instead, the immortal lightning's power caught up with it and violently exploded on his body. Pooh! After Kuan Mingzi spat out a mouthful of blood, an ice jade appeared on his body, forcefully blocking the immortal lightning's power. Countless strands of sword energy turned into ice crystals, blocking the immortal lightning until he retreated 99 steps. Only then did it stop. "I'm too weak," Kuan Mingzi muttered to himself. He sat down cross-legged and began to absorb the thin strands of immortal energy from all directions, reforming his immortal Tao. As long as his immortal Tao was complete, he could break open the gate of the immortal world and return to the immortal world. Under the immortal gazing ridge, Yang Wu was fighting the white tiger and the vermilion bird at the same time. The Xianpan shield was fully activated, completely suppressing their power. There were also many reversing forces wreaking havoc on them, making them completely helpless. If they did not have immortal items on them, the Xianpan shield would have been able to destroy them. "If you're still not convinced, then I'll beat you until you're convinced," Yang Wu shouted. The electric fork appeared in his hand, and the chaotic divine lightning was absorbed. He turned into a lightning god that rewarded and punished. Streaks of chaotic divine lightning condensed into the Tao of lightning, bombarding them wildly. The white tiger and the vermilion bird were certain that they were no match for Yang Wu. They did not plan to continue fighting and wanted to escape. However, Yang Wu had already made his move. How could he let them escape? Master had already expected that you would escape. Little Hay spoke. The space around them trembled, and a formation appeared. It was set up by Little Hay after she retreated from the battle. It formed a confinement formation, binding the white tiger and the vermilion bird within. "Bastard, let's go!" the white tiger roared. The golden bell slammed into the formation, but unfortunately, there was no way it could break the formation. The vermilion bird controlled an immortal feather and turned it into a streak of flame, slamming into the formation. It was also unable to shake the formation in the slightest. Before the two of them could break the formation, the Xianpan shield came down again. Endless immortal chi gathered within, restraining the two immortal weapons. The electric fork attacked again. Yang Wu's lunar soul battle body was comparable to a boundary emperor. With his martial strength, he could fight a great emperor, adding to that the explosive power of the immortal Tao. Who could stop him? Soon, the white tiger and the vermilion bird were both suppressed. "You've been waiting here for a chance to become immortals. I'm the one you've been waiting for," Yang Wu said faintly. He reached out and grabbed at the void. Immortal chi gathered around him, making him look even more majestic. The white tiger and the vermilion bird sensed the immortal chi on Yang Wu's body. They lowered their proud heads and said in unison, "Greetings, Master. You two pull the war chariot first." Yang Wu removed the suppression and returned to his usual calm and collected manner. The two emperor-level beings pulling the war chariot stunned everyone on the war chariot. If other beings saw this, they would probably be scared out of their wits. Was this the extravagance of an immortal-level being? Why are you in a daze? In the immortal realm, It's very common for immortal demons to pull war chariots. Little Hay replied. After a pause, she added, of course, there are also humans who become the pets of immortal demons. Yang Wu knocked Little Hay on the head and said, you talk too much nonsense. The white tiger and the vermilion bird didn't dare disobey. Yang Wu's immortal aura was even more powerful than the one they'd encountered before. They chose to follow Yang Wu. With the white tiger and the vermilion bird opening the way, they successfully arrived at the staircase leading to the immortal ridge. Rumor has it that ascending the staircase leads to the immortal realm, the white tiger said. Rumor has it that there are a total of 99,000 steps, the vermilion bird added. How many steps have you climbed? Yang Wu countered. Not even 10,000, the white tiger replied. Then you're indeed a little weak. Yang Wu nodded in agreement. Then he said to the people behind him, this place is branded with the immortal Tao. You can cultivate below for now. Once you've perfected your martial path, you can continue to train your martial path. Don't force yourself to reach the top, not even emperor-level beings. Yes, master, everyone replied. They began to climb the staircase. At first, it wasn't obvious, but when they reached the 100th step, they could feel the might of an emperor-level being. Some of the weaker ones felt pressured. Take a good look. This is also the power of martial path. The stronger your will, the more you'll comprehend. Naturally, you'll be able to advance further. Yang Wu's voice echoed in their ears. Then he said, in a moment, you'll go up one by one. Don't rush up all at once. It'll be much less stressful. Before Master came, a group of people had already gone up. They might be up there, the white tiger reminded them. Then a power floated in front of it, forming the shape of Kuan Mingzi and the others. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Yang Wu sneered. Yang Wu, I'm going to kill the God Emperor, Du Xiaojing said angrily. It's not difficult for you to kill him, but do you want to borrow my hand, or do you want to do it yourself? Yang Wu asked. Du Xiaojing hesitated for a moment, then said, I'll do it myself. Okay, then you go up the staircase. The higher you go, the stronger the immortal Tao. You have to experience it carefully. I think this staircase is just a test to see if you have the potential to become an immortal. If you haven't comprehended the immortal Tao, don't even think about going up. Yang Wu replied. Then he said to Little Hay, go up and take care of her. If you encounter Kuan Mingzi and the others, don't hold back. But I think that guy has an extraordinary background. Take it easy. Master, don't worry. If they dare to do anything, I'll bite them to death, Little Hay replied. Then, she transformed into a bolt of lightning and rushed up. Everyone looked at Little Hay's swift and fierce movements and felt a sense of defeat. They sighed in their hearts. Humans are worse than dogs. Master, I'll go first. Yang Ba, who was behind Yang Wu, stepped forward and said. Now, Yang Ba looked extremely burly and strong. Wearing a set of divine armor, he looked even more heroic. He walked up step by step, his eyes filled with determination. He completely ignored the emperor-level pressure. He's also a good son of our Yang clan. Yang Zhonglo sighed. With Yang Ba's aura, he also had the potential to become an emperor in the future. Uncle Ba has always been unwilling to enter the true God realm. He feels that the God realm can be polished to perfection. Building a God palace is not difficult for him. He wants to become a super strong person, Yang Wushuang said. Yang Ba and Su Chu had always been Yang Wu's right-hand men. When they were in the transcendent realm, their talents were outstanding. But when they came to the God realm, they could only be considered ordinary. However, after being nourished by Yang Wu's immortal liquid, they became extraordinary and could have broken through to the true God realm long ago. But the two of them did not do so. They went to different places to train and challenged many powerful martial gods in the medicine god realm to train. Master, I'll go up first. Su Chu also stepped up. It was as if he had transformed into a white tiger. The murderous aura of gold was astonishing. The two of them went all the way up. They were only at the peak of the god realm. They only stopped when they reached more than 800 steps. White Tiger and Vermilion Bird were shocked.